Chapter 38:20. Facing the storm of fiend celestial sword seals, the only thing Yu Qilong could do was unleash the full potential of his immortal sword body. He was using his immortal sword body to defend himself from the terrifying sword energies. He was like a tiny ant being drowned in a storm. You're pretty tough. Your immortal sword body is indeed unique. After a round of attacks, Yu Qilong was in a sorry state. However, it didn't look like his injuries were too serious. My cultivation base is still too weak. I can't unleash the true power of a 6th-level Emperor rank martial skill. If I was at the same cultivation base, even if I was only at the 4th level of the Divine Core Realm, I would have killed this Yu Qilong. Although Ling Xiao wasn't affected by the restriction of his cultivation base, he was still affected by it. In the end, he still couldn't unleash the full potential of the Fiend Celestial Seal. It's good that I can break through. Ling Xiao furrowed his brows. But just because he couldn't kill Yu Qilong didn't mean he couldn't kill him. As long as the Fiend Celestial Seal existed, Yu Qilong would keep getting injured. Even if his injuries weren't serious at first, he would slowly lose his combat strength and eventually die. Yu Qilong obviously knew this. If he kept on defending himself, sooner or later, he would be killed by Ling Xiao. Left with no other choice, he gritted his teeth and unleashed his defense. Then he unleashed a powerful attack and threw himself at Ling Xiao. Only by killing Ling Xiao would he be able to solve this problem. Buddy, let's see who will die first. Yu Qilong's desperate fighting style was helpless, but it was definitely the best choice. With his incredible speed, especially with the help of the immortal sword body, he arrived in front of Ling Xiao in an instant. Do you think you can touch me? A grin emerged on Ling Xiao's face. Then he suddenly disappeared. Within the range of the Fiend Celestial Seal, he could appear near any sword seal. In this dimension, speed meant nothing to him, because he could teleport in the truest sense. Unless someone's attack was stronger than the Fiend Celestial Seal, it was impossible for anyone to hurt him. No! At this moment, Yu Qilong was in despair. He had risked his life and was prepared to unleash an attack. But in the end, he couldn't touch Jiang Qin. On the contrary, his defense was greatly reduced at that moment. The terrifying sword qi pierced into his body like fine needles. He could feel that his body was continuously festering. A bone-piercing pain radiated from his body, making him wish he was dead. Still not dead. Ling Xiao's taiji, I captured Yu Qilong's figure and condition. This guy is really scary. The strength of his current attack had almost surpassed the full force attack of all perfect 4th Divine Core Warriors. However, he still couldn't kill Yu Qilong. This proved that Yu Qilong was definitely one of the best amongst all early-stage Divine Core Warriors. Of course, they didn't kill him, but Yu Qilong's current situation was very bad. His entire body was drenched in blood. It was as if he had been fished out of a pool of blood. His expression was also very ugly. However, this fellow was still the current head of the Yu clan, so he had quite a lot of medicinal pills. Coupled with the terrifying recovery ability of the immortal sword body, the wound was healing rapidly. From the looks of it, it would be impossible to kill this fellow without hitting its vitals. So many Golden Core warriors have been killed. Ling Xiao furrowed his brows. Even with the Fiend Celestial Seal, he still couldn't kill Yu Qilong. It looked like he had to use a more powerful attack. Ha ha ha! Do you know why Daddy's form is called the Immortal Sword Body? It's because under the Immortal Sword Body I have an immortal body. Your attack is indeed powerful, but too bad you're too weak and you're not qualified to be my opponent. Seeing that Ling Xiao had stopped attacking, Yu Qilong thought Ling Xiao had used up all of his true yuan. Therefore, he was overjoyed. He thought his persistence had finally paid off. You're proud of yourself? Ling Xiao let out an indifferent laugh. Your immortal sword body can only last for 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, what are you going to use to fight me? Fiend Celestial Seal, Batcave. Suddenly, the Fiend Celestial Seal changed. It was no longer a sharp sword energy. Instead, it became pitch black. Suddenly, terrifying screams that could shake one's soul sounded out from the pitch black. In just a split second, Yu Qilong hugged his head in pain. The immortal sword body could make his body extremely powerful. However, his soul was still at its original level. With just a single attack, his soul had been severely damaged. Dragon Trapping Talisman, retreat! Yu Qilong was smart. If he continued to stay in the Dragon Trapping Talisman, he would be trapped in his own trap. Not only would he not be able to kill Ling Xiao, he would also get himself killed. That sound wave attack was too frightening. He ran a few hundred meters away with all his might before he finally managed to stand up. However, his eyes were filled with fear. How is this possible? You're just a peak 3rd Divine Core Warrior. How can you be my opponent? How is this possible? Although he didn't want to admit it, he had already used his immortal sword body. But he still couldn't defeat Ling Xiao. This was a huge blow to him. Brother Yu, let's work together. The bloodthirsty sect chief stood out. He was also an early 5th Divine Core Warrior. Although he was slightly weaker than Yu Qilong, he wasn't much weaker. He didn't want the Shangtian sect to exist any longer. Therefore, he had to work together with Yu Qilong. Me too. Yu Xing flew up into the sky as well. Although he was only a peak 4th Divine Core Warrior, but with an extra person, it was always an extra force. All right, all of you can come at me together. Ling Xiao hooked his finger. He looked extremely domineering. A peak 3rd Divine Core Warrior was facing 2 early 5th Divine Core Warriors. A perfect 4th Divine Core Warrior didn't show any signs of fear at all. He waved the Blood Sovereign Sword in his hand, causing the area of the Seal of Celestial and Devil to expand. Seal of Celestial and Devil, Bloodthirsty Jungle. This was the most powerful ability of the Seal of Celestial and Devil. After it was unleashed, the surrounding area instantly transformed into the bloodthirsty jungle. Terrifying demon beasts roared out from within the jungle, unleashing their terrifying killing intent. A heavenly devil descended from the sky and leapt towards the trio. Seeing this, Yu Qilong immediately turned around and ran away. He was scared of being beaten up. He had enough of the slaughterhouse and the bat cave. But the bloodthirsty jungle was even more terrifying than the previous 2 abilities. His strongest martial skill was only a high 4th Order Emperor Realm martial skill, and he didn't think he could defeat Ling Xiao. Therefore, he decided to go back and ask Gu Fenghua or Qing Mashue to teach him a 5th Order Emperor Realm martial skill. He believed that as long as he cultivated a 5th Order Emperor Realm martial skill, Ling Xiao would be no match for him. But because of fear, he even abandoned his 9th uncle. As for the so-called allies, the bloodthirsty sect chief didn't care about them at all. When both men realized they had been tricked, it was already too late. They were both trapped in the bloodthirsty jungle, unable to leave. Chapter 38:21. Damn, that Yu Qilong! Although the bloodthirsty sect leader hated Yu Qilong to the core, there was nothing he could do. Things had already come to this point. The only thing he could do was risk his life and hope he could save his own life. Enraged, he transformed into a bloodthirsty demon beast. It was a blood-red, bloodthirsty demon snake. The demon snake moved with incredible speed. In an instant, it arrived next to Ling Xiao. But just like before, Ling Xiao's figure disappeared once again. He didn't need to be injured in order to stimulate his potential. With the heart of gold, as long as he used up all his true yuan, he would be able to stimulate his potential. In fact, when he unleashed the bloodthirsty forest, he had used up all his true yuan. His potential surged into his inner core like a flood, and at the same time, into his cultivation ocean. The energy in his cultivation instantly soared to 90%. Just a little more. Kill him. Without holding back, he circulated his true yuan and unleashed the 3,000 bloodthirsty demon beasts and the frightening heavenly devil. These beasts transformed into gigantic sword seals, and their power was at least 10 times stronger than the sword energy in the slaughterhouse. Of course, the consumption was much greater as well. In an instant, Ling Xiao's true yuan was depleted, but his potential was replenished once again. Energy in my cultivation ocean, 100%. Whether I break through or not, it all depends on this. Ling Xiao dashed toward the bloodthirsty sect leader with his true form. As for Yu Xing, he didn't even need to do anything. Yu Xing was completely trapped in the bloodthirsty forest. If it wasn't for Ling Xiao wanting to know something from him, he would have become a corpse by now. Boom! Within the bloodthirsty forest, a gigantic, infinite, heavenly rat and a bloodthirsty venomous snake were fighting each other. The bloodthirsty sect leader didn't know what Ling Xiao was up to, but he knew this was his best chance. If he missed this chance, he wouldn't be able to kill Ling Xiao anymore. The sect leader attacked with all his might. Ling Xiao was completely suppressed, and he could only take a beating. Without the help of the celestial devil seal, the gap between Ling Xiao and an early 5th heavenly core warrior was still huge. However, at this moment, Ling Xiao was feeling both pain and joy. What the heart of gold couldn't do, they had to go back to their old ways. Every time the flesh and blood collided, Ling Xiao's body and cultivation would break through the limits. The door to a breakthrough was opening. The bronze-colored Naiden gradually turned into a beautiful silver color. A large amount of energy was released from the Dongsheng Empress's divine elixir and integrated into his internal elixir. As a result, his Naiden was much larger and more powerful than an ordinary Naiden. Rumble! The door to the breakthrough had finally opened. Ling Xiao suddenly reached out and grabbed the sect leader's body. The blood python struggled madly in his hand. Unfortunately, it was useless. It was still shriveling. A single breakthrough would bring about 100-fold increase in strength. After all, this was an increase in strength from the copper core realm to the silver core realm. Previously, Ling Xiao was no match for the sect leader of the bloodthirsty sect. Now he could easily kill the sect leader of the bloodthirsty sect. In his despair, the sect leader turned all the energy in his body into Ling Xiao's potential and stored it in his body, replenishing the energy that Ling Xiao had lost. The people below clearly saw the scene. The sect leader of the bloodthirsty sect, the strongest in half-demon city, was killed just like that. The people of the magnificent heaven sect cheered. The people of the bloodthirsty sect were dumbfounded. Some of the smarter ones immediately knelt down and pledged their loyalty to Ling Xiao. Some of the more cowardly ones chose to run away. There were also some who resisted stubbornly, but Ling Xiao didn't plan to deal with them himself. He wanted to leave them for the people of the magnificent heaven sect to deal with. He couldn't do everything himself. Otherwise, what would the people of the magnificent heaven sect do? People of the magnificent heaven sect, listen up. Those who obey me will prosper, and those who resist me will perish. Bloodthirsty sect, attack the main altar. After giving out the order, Ling Xiao retracted the fiend god seal and looked at Yu Xing, who had lost all his strength to fight. Tell me what happened in Ziling Kingdom, and I'll give you a quick death. Or else, I'll make you suffer the pain of having your heart bitten by thousands of worms. Ling Xiao didn't want to waste any more time with Yu Xing. After dealing with the matters in Half-Demon City, it was time for him to return to Ziling Kingdom. Based on what Yu Qilong said, Ziqinya and Zilong were in grave danger. Even if he didn't have enough strength, he couldn't be a coward. That wasn't his style. Yu Xing sat down dejectedly and sneered. Even if you don't ask, I'll tell you. I'll tell you anyway. Do you know the heaven-slaying blade devil Gu Fenghua and the death witch Qing Ma Xue? Both of them are ranked in the top 10 of the Eastern Victory Continent's combat strength ranking. Gu Fenghua is an early 7th heavenly core warrior, and he has the heaven-slaying blade in his hand. Qing Mashue is a peak 6 heavenly core warrior, and she has the death scepter in her hand. Right now, both of them are in Ziling Kingdom. The reason why the capital city of Ziling was turned into a city of zombies was because of that undying which Qing Mashue. I almost forgot to tell you, Qing Mashue's mother is also a member of my family. You can imagine what she will do to Zi Qianye and Zilong. Although they are still safe with the protection of the King Mansion's formation, it has been more than a month. But it's already been more than a month. How long do you think that formation can last? Yu Xing's thoughts were simple. He was no match for Ling Xiao. But Ling Xiao was also no match for Gu Fenghua and Qing Mashue. The reason why he said all this was to make Ling Xiao return to his family. He wanted Gu Fenghua and Qing Mashue to kill Ling Xiao. How dare they touch Sister Qianye and Zilong? I'll kill them all. Ling Xiao casually pointed his finger. A sword energy pierced through Yu Xing's inner core. He had asked all the questions he needed to ask. There was no need to waste any more time. His cultivation had now broken through to the early 4th heavenly core realm. His ability to survive had greatly increased. He might not die even if he had to face Gu Fenghua and Qing Mashue. Plus, he didn't have to face them head-on to save them. Before he left, he repaired the Grand Orient Demon, vanquishing Grand Formation of the Shengtian sect. He also left behind a letter. Anyway, the truly terrifying enemies in Half-Demon City had all been eliminated by him. If Shengtian sect still couldn't unify Half-Demon City, then there was no need for him to nurture them. As for his disciple, Shengyu, he left behind many good things for her. This girl's talent was terrifying. He believed that she would be of great help to him one day. Therefore, he had to nurture her well. That was why he even left behind the Fiend God Seal and the 9 Heaven Slaughter. Sheng, you would be able to cultivate them sooner or later. He didn't tell anyone when he left, mainly because he didn't want trouble. Since he had left behind a letter, the people of Shengtian sect would know once they read it. Disciple, I'm afraid you won't be able to survive this trip. Yuan Venerate reminded him on the way back. I know, but you know my character, Master. I won't leave Zi Qianye and Zilong alone. Ling Zhao's attitude was resolute. Zi Qianye had an ambiguous relationship with him. Even if he couldn't accept her love, he wouldn't allow anyone to hurt her. Zilong was his good brother. He couldn't leave him alone. Chapter 38:22. Since you're so determined, I won't try to persuade you. But don't be careless. A golden core warrior is very hard to kill. A mortal core warrior is even more terrifying. An earth core warrior can use the force of the earth. They are like gods. That Gu Fenghua, try not to offend him if possible. Yuan Venerable knew his disciple too well. Therefore, he didn't want to say anything unnecessary, but he still wanted to remind his disciple. He didn't want his disciple to risk his life by rushing back. I never want to offend anyone, but if he attacks Zi Qianye and Zilong, I won't forgive him. Ling Xiao gritted his teeth and sped up. In the sky, there was only a flash of lightning. Due to the breakthrough in his cultivation, his current speed had become even faster. Last time, it took him more than 3 days to reach Half-Demon City. But this time he arrived outside Purple Spirit City in just 1 day. But Ling Xiao knew how strong the enemy was, so he didn't rush in recklessly. Instead, he chose to find a safe place and used his Source Soul's ability to leave his shell. He had never seen anyone use this ability before. After his Yuan soul left his body, he started flying in the sky. In this state, he was even safer than the Shadow Warrior state. Basically, it was impossible for anyone to discover him. Of course, he couldn't attack either. But this time he was only here to gather information, so it didn't matter. With Purple Spirit City as the center, the surrounding area was like hell on earth. The streets were no longer bustling with activity. It had become a world of walking corpses. The air was filled with a foul stench. It was unbearable. A temporary camp was built outside Purple Spirit City. Zilong and Mang Yu from the Z family were the ones stationed there. Yuan Venerable didn't expect these two men to have sided with Gu Fenghua. They had betrayed Zi Qinya, together with Zilong and Mang Yu. There were more than 10,000 soldiers from the Z family guarding outside Purple Spirit City. The one leading the soldiers was a lieutenant general, a peak 4th Heavenly Corps warrior. "Husband, we've been guarding here for a few days. I don't think Zilong will come out. This place is filled with a foul stench, and they might break through our defense at any time. At that time, we'll be in trouble. Is it really worth it?" Mang Yu frowned. "Haven't you always been very smart? Why have you suddenly become so stupid? Do you think we can leave just because we don't want to? You've seen the undying demoness methods. That was the true devil. If we don't obey, we will die." Zilan's entire body trembled when she mentioned the undying demoness, Qing Ma Xue. Mang Yu's face also changed, revealing a look of horror. To be able to turn tens of millions of people into weaklings, he had never thought of such a cruel method. Now this place was filled with a thick aura of death and the stench of corpses. It was no longer suitable for human habitation. "Father, do you think that Ling Xiao will come?" Mang Yu suddenly asked after a moment of silence. Yes, that bastard Yu Qilong used the transmission array to directly go to the Purple Mansion Royal City and reported the situation there to Gu Fenghua. He even obtained a 5th level Emperor grade martial skill. He said that Ling Xiao would come back, so he would definitely come back. However, Ling Xiao probably doesn't know that Zi Qinya has taken the initiative to leave with Gu Fenghua in order to prevent the Purple Spirit Kingdom from becoming a living hell. At this moment, only Zilong and the others are still persevering in the city. However, I don't think they can hold on much longer. Hearing this, Ling Xiao frowned. He really wanted to get rid of these two bastards first. However, he gave up temporarily when he remembered that Zilong was still in the ruler's mansion. He entered the ruler's mansion to investigate. However, this time he saw something he did not want to see the most. Zilong and the most loyal group of people in the ruler's mansion, about 100 of them, were surrounded by millions of cultivators and commoners. "You bunch of ungrateful bastards, you have no shame!" Gao Hong roared angrily at the people around him. "When you were in danger, it was the ruler who let you in so that you could avoid death. However, not only did you not care about her kindness, but you also betrayed young Master Zilong. Do you have any conscience? Shut up! If it weren't for your mouths, the Purple Spirit Kingdom wouldn't have ended up like this. Everyone, don't listen to him. As long as we hand over young Master Zilong, we can live." That's what the people from the Eastern Victory Kingdom said. Someone in the crowd said loudly. It was obviously the leader of the rebels. The rest of the people echoed. In order to live, they did not care about what Zi Qinya had done to them. They could betray anyone now. Ling Xiao knew that the situation was urgent and did not waste any more time. He returned his soul and entered the shadow warrior form to sneak into the ruler's mansion. Although the Purple Spirit Capital was filled with a terrifying death aura, his Tai Chi eye could see that there was a bean-sized black energy in the bodies of the walking corpses. That should be the reason why they could still move even though they were dead. He had already thought of a way to deal with these walking corpses. However, he did not have the time for that now. Zilong and Gao Hong were in danger. He had to save them first. When Ling Xiao arrived at the ruler's mansion, the battle had already begun. The crazy commoners were like the wolves that Mr. Dongwa had saved, biting the hand that fed them. Some of the ruler's mansion's experts had already been killed. After all, it was difficult for 2 fists to fight against 4 hands. Moreover, there were also experts among the commoners. Protect young Master Zilong. Even if we have to risk our lives, we must not retreat. Gao Hong's cultivation had just recovered to the 7th level of the Divine Vein Realm. It was a far cry from before. However, even though they were weak, they were still loyal and devoted. This was the most worthy person to save. Back then, Ling Xiao really didn't regret saving him at all. Don't worry about me. I'm not that easy to catch. Zilong's cultivation had obviously broken through as well. He was now an early third divine core warrior. With the help of the Ziyang pill and the Blood Yang scripture, as well as his own hard work, he was able to survive. In just a little over a month, he had broken through to the early third divine core realm from the early second divine core realm. However, given Zilong's level of cultivation, the Purple Sun pill was no longer effective. He could only rely on himself for his future cultivation. There's no need to be merciful. Since they're heartless, we can only be unrighteous. I believe that if Big Brother Ling Xiao were here, he would definitely do the same. Zilong roared when he noticed that many people from the ruler's mansion were still showing mercy. With this roar, the situation immediately changed. After all the people from the ruler's mansion were mighty warriors. Among the several million people who rebelled, only a portion of them were mighty warriors. The rest of them were just divine vain warriors. There was no way they could survive. But even if that was the case, the situation wouldn't change. As time passed, perhaps all the people from the ruler's mansion would be killed. Even the silver-haired old granny from the Z family wouldn't be able to survive. Chapter 38:23. Ling Xiao was infuriated when he saw a bunch of ungrateful people besieging the people from the king's mansion. What he hated the most in his life were people who were ungrateful. If he were in their shoes, none of them would have survived. The king's mansion had given them all the resources. Otherwise, they could have held on for a few years, even if they were trapped. Now, they could only hold on for 2 months. However, these people still wanted to betray Zilong. How could he tolerate that? Ice Aeon. Ling Xiao transformed into an ice frost divine dragon and released the powerful Ice Aeon. The rebels surrounding Zilong and the others were instantly frozen. Brother Ling Xiao. Zilong shouted excitedly when he saw that. However, his expression changed after a while. Brother Ling Xiao, leave now. This is a trap. Leave? Do you think he can leave? Since he's here, he can't leave. A light screen appeared in the sky above the king's mansion. Zilan's figure was shown on the light screen. It seemed like Zilan was using some kind of treasure to monitor everything in the king's mansion. Even if Ling Xiao could sneak in, he would still be exposed. Activate the golden light dragon trapping formation and lock down the entire purple spirit capital city. Zilan's voice continued. Ling Xiao, either you hand over the treasures on you, or you turn into a zombie under the attacks of the walking dead. If you die, we can still get what we want. However, Ling Xiao ignored Zilan. He waved his hand, and the blood-red sword Qi destroyed the peeping puppet hidden in the king's mansion. Once the puppet was destroyed, Zilan would not be able to receive the signal for the time being. Brother Ling Xiao, hurry up and leave. If you're alone, you'll definitely be able to escape. Zilong shouted anxiously. However, Ling Xiao did not seem to hear him. He squeezed his hand gently. Ice Aeon burial. Crack. More than half of the people who were frozen by Ice Aeon died in an instant. Basically, as long as one's cultivation was lower than Ling Xiao's, it would be difficult for them to escape death. Their bodies were shattered into pieces. Only a few 4th-level divine core warriors were lucky enough to survive, but they were still killed by Ling Xiao's next attack. Killed them all? That's a few million people. Some people from the king's mansion were shocked. What's the big deal about killing them? Don't forget what those people wanted to do just now. Ungrateful people who bite the hand that feeds them. They don't deserve any sympathy. Gao Hong said with a stern voice. That's right. If it wasn't young Masterling's mansion, we would all be dead. That's right. We saved those people, but they wanted to kill us. Their deaths are not worth regretting. The people from the king's. It was easy for him to accept the fact that those people had been killed. Listen up. I'm going to clean up the entire purple spirit capital city. If there's anything, we can talk about it later. Ling Xiao of the mansion, of Ling Xiao, of the king's king. Zilong wanted him to escape, but he couldn't. He couldn't watch the kingdom he had chosen turn into a land of zombies. Brother Ling Xiao, I'll help you as well, Zilong said. We can help as well. The people from the king's mansion didn't want to just watch. Not at the moment. All you need to do is protect me. Don't let anyone disturb me. After saying that, Ling Xiao flew up into the sky. Suddenly, a pitch-black universe appeared behind him. Then, something that shocked everyone happened. Those zombies were wreaking havoc in the purple spirit capital, but all of a sudden they burst into flames. They turned into ashes. Only a black energy was left in his body, flying towards the same direction. Countless rays of black light fused into the universe. They merged into Ling Xiao's body, turning into Ling Xiao's potential. Not only did it replenish a huge amount of potential, it also helped Ling Xiao break through the upper limit of his potential. Before this, his potential was equivalent to a 9th-tier divine core warrior. Now he had broken through again. But even Ling Xiao didn't know what the next level was. But he could feel his potential skyrocketing. The energy in his cultivation, C, was increasing as well. After breaking through to the 4th-tier divine core realm, the rate at which the energy in his cultivation, C, increased had slowed down by at least 100 times. But he had obtained a lot of energy this time. Therefore, it wasn't that hard for him to increase his potential. When all the zombies in the purple spirit capital and the surrounding cities were completely wiped out, Ling Xiao's energy in his cultivation, C, had increased to 100%, and he was only one step away from breaking through. After all, there were tens of millions of zombies. Although each energy wasn't much, when accumulated, it was a terrifying number. How is this possible? How did he do it? Zilong, who was guarding outside the purple spirit capital, witnessed this shocking scene through the puppet's monitoring system. He didn't know what that black universe was. However, he knew that the current purple spirit capital had already returned to normal from the wasteland. Even the zombies and corpses in the streets and alleys had all disappeared. They were all burned to ashes by the strange flame. Follow me into the city. We'll surround the king mansion. While feeling shocked, Zilong suddenly thought of the treasures Ling Xiao had. If they kept wasting time here, perhaps Ling Xiao would bring all the men of the king mansion and run away. But he was overthinking things. Ling Xiao had no intention of running away. The king mansion was protected by a formation, and he only needed some energy stones to increase its duration. If he brought all these men with him, they would be a burden. He only needed to give them some resources to keep them safe in the king mansion. Even Gu Fenghua couldn't do anything about it. If not, he wouldn't have used such a despicable method to force Ziqinya to leave the king mansion. Zilong, you're really shameless. As the clan chief of the Z family, you're helping an outsider to bully your own men. Now, you've even set a trap for us, trying to rob us and kill us. Who do you think you are? Zilong stepped onto the city wall. When he saw the Z Mansion army, led by Zilong, he couldn't help but furiously complain. Zilong let out a disdainful laugh and said, "Yes, I'm shameless and despicable. But don't forget that Gu Fenghua and Qing Mashu are here. They're ranked in the top 10 on the Dong Sheng combat strength list. If I don't listen to them, the Z family will be destroyed. I'm doing this for the sake of the entire Z family. But I heard that other than you and Mengyu, no one else in the Z family was spared. Who are you protecting?" Ling Xiao said disdainfully. Haha, since you know about it, you should understand the methods of that demoness. Qing Mashua, right? You'd better hand it over obediently. I can give you a quick death, so that you won't have to suffer. Zilong didn't feel humiliated at all and continued to speak with a smile. You're shameless. Zilong cursed angrily. Ling Xiao remained calm and said, Do you think you can kill me? Why don't you think about it? You Qilong caught up with me but didn't kill me? Instead he escaped and came back? Zilong laughed and said, Kid, don't try to scare me. I heard from Yu Qilong that he came back because you have a miraculous movement skill. You can turn into a golden light, making it impossible for people to chase after you. Chapter 38:24. Zilong sneered. Yu Qilong said you used a miraculous escape skill to escape from his attack, but this time you won't be able to escape. The entire Purple Spirit Capital is trapped within the Golden Light Dragon Trapping Grand Formation, and it is specifically designed to prevent escape skills from escaping. I think you won't be able to escape even if you have wings. You believe that idiot Yu Qilong's words? Aren't you afraid of being tricked? Ling Xiao said with a sarcastic tone. Believing him is better than believing you. Let's not waste any more time. I know the King Palace's resources are running out. You can choose to be tortured to death slowly or die quickly. You can choose. Zilong seemed to have steeled her heart and was determined to make an enemy out of Ling Xiao and the others. Brother Ling Xiao, it's all my fault. Zilong felt like a coward. Every single time, he needed Ling Xiao to save him, and every single time he would become a burden. He really wanted to help, but no matter how hard he tried, every time his cultivation improved, there would always be a stronger enemy. What are you talking about? I'll need your help in many ways in the future. As for that Golden Light Dragon Trapping Grand Formation, it's just a joke. If I'm not mistaken, the activation mechanism of this formation is in that bastard Zilong's hands. As long as I kill him, there won't be any problems. Ling Xiao turned around and looked at Zilong. Zilong was indeed a burden right now, but he still needed this man to help him manage the 4 domains in the future. What Jiang Chen was doing now was actually an investment. If you wanted someone to go through fire and water for you, you had to do something similar. Zilong said with a bitter smile, Big Brother Ling Xiao, Zilong is a peak 5th Divine Core Warrior, and he's also a peak 5th Divine Core Warrior. How can you be a match for him? This is different from the situation in the burial ground. At that time, you had a special environment to help you, and you were able to do things you couldn't do in the outside world. But now it's really troublesome. You don't believe me? Ling Xiao said with a smile on his face. Hearing this, Zilong was startled for a moment. Then he shook his head and said, No, I believe you. Since Brother Ling Xiao says it's possible, then it's possible. Zilong realized that he might have been a little stupid. He had witnessed Ling Xiao's heaven-defying miracles more than once, yet he still doubted Ling Xiao? What a joke! However, even though he believed it, the rest of the people in the king's residence were still worried. Young Master Ling Xiao, you risked your life to save the monarch and young Master Zilong. This shows that you are a righteous person. We can't be a burden to you. If you have the chance, run away. We'll only be a burden if you bring us along. That's right, we once misjudged and thought that bastard Yu Qilong was truly in love with the monarch. Who would have thought that he would be so ambitious? But the monarch didn't make a mistake. She chose you to be her younger brother. She really made the right choice. That's right. Before you came, we actually discussed this matter as well. We felt that against terrifying existences like Gu Fenghua and Qing Mashue, we should be able to deal with them. You definitely won't come. After all, everyone cared about their own lives. But we were wrong. Therefore, today we are willing to sacrifice ourselves for the sake of gratitude and for the monarch. Everyone chimed in one after another, and it was all very solemn and stirring. It was as if he had the determination to die. Listen, as long as I'm here, none of you will die. Ling Xiao was the man who wanted to unify the entire mystic world. If he couldn't even protect his future citizens, how could he unify the mystic world? He didn't want to be a lone man. Believe in Brother Ling Xiao. We won't be wrong, Zilong said with a loud voice. Although the crowd still had some doubts in their minds, they all nodded their heads. They could only wait and see. If something happened to Ling Xiao, they would have to protect him even if they had to sacrifice themselves. Ling Xiao was the hope of Ziling Kingdom. A bunch of idiots. Why do you believe in a second-level divine core warrior? You're courting death. Zilan didn't know that Ling Xiao had broken through to the early 4th level divine core realm in just a short period of time. Indeed, his mindset was a bit outdated. Right at this moment, a frightening aura burst out from his body. The shadow of a purple dragon appeared behind his back. Everyone from the Z family had a purple dragon soul, although this dragon was just a baby dragon, and it was far weaker than the immemorial divine dragon. But in the eyes of ordinary people, a dragon soul was still very powerful. A purple light covered Z-Land's body. The entire sky seemed to have been dyed blue by this light. I heard from Yu Qilong that he won't be able to kill you in a short period of time, not only because of your amazing escape skill, but also because you seem to have cultivated a high grade 4th order Emperor Martial skill. But in front of me, all of this is nothing. My cultivation is much stronger than yours, and I know a 4th order Emperor Martial skill as well. Together with the Golden Dragon Trapping Formation, you won't be able to escape. Zilan was very confident in his abilities. In his mind, the reason why Yu Qilong didn't kill Ling Xiao was because Ling Xiao's ability to escape was too strong. But in front of the Golden Dragon Trapping Formation, how is Ling Xiao going to escape? But too bad, he didn't know that Yu Qilong had concealed the most important information. The seal of gods and devils. Even though they had all pledged their allegiance to Gu Fenghua, these men were still secretly competing with each other. All of them wanted to take all the treasures Ling Xiao had for themselves. Of course, Yu Qilong hoped that Zilan would be unlucky. The stupidest thing you've ever done is to listen to Yu Qilong's words. Now I'll show you what regret is. After saying that, Ling Xiao took out the Blood Sovereign Sword. An icy cold killing intent was unleashed from the Blood Sovereign Sword. At this moment, Zilan thought he was looking at the Blood Sovereign Sword, causing his body to tremble. Blood Sovereign Sword, it really is the Blood Sovereign Sword. Zilan stared at the sword in Ling Xiao's hand with excitement. With the Blood Sovereign Sword and the Blood Sovereign Armor, he could even fight a 6th level Divine Core Warrior. This was too important for him. You really want it? Here you go. Seal of Gods and Devils, Slaughterhouse. Without any hesitation, Ling Xiao activated the Seal of Gods and Devils with the help of the Peerless Heavenly Rat. This was because other attacks might not have any effect on Violet Blue. Oh, so this is the upgraded version of the Seal of Gods and Devils that Yu Qilong mentioned? Ha ha ha, mine, it's all mine. Zilan didn't realize how frightening the Seal of Gods and Devils was. All he wanted was the Blood Sovereign Sword and the Seal of Gods and Devils. Idiot! Ling Xiao scolded with disdain. At this moment, the entire place had turned into a world of sword lights. The reason why the slaughterhouse was called a slaughterhouse was because of how frightening it was. In just a split second, the Purple Mansion army had started to let out miserable cries. The blood-red sword energy had completely covered Zilan, Mengyu, and the 10,000 Purple Mansion army. Not good. Zilan was a Golden Core Warrior after all. When he sensed something was wrong, he quickly circulated all his true origin energy to increase his defense. Husband, save me. Mengyu's miserable cries sounded out from beside him. Mengyu was only a peak 4th Divine Core Warrior. Facing this frightening seal of gods and devils, there was no way she could fight back. If no one came to save her, the only outcome would be death. Although Zilan really wanted to save her, when he sensed the frightening destructive power of the slaughterhouse, he gave up in the end. Chapter 38:25. Because Zilan was afraid of death, he didn't save his woman Mengyu. After the slaughterhouse was over, Zilan was the only one left on the scene. Mengyu and the Purple Mansion army were all killed. Ling Xiao's attack was filled with rage, without any intention of holding back. Witnessing this amazing and horrifying scene, everyone from the King Mansion felt their minds go numb. Although they knew Ling Xiao was very strong, they still didn't expect him to be this strong. However, he hadn't expected it to be this strong. This was too ferocious. Even Zilan, who was a perfect 5th Divine Core warrior, wasn't Ling Xiao's match. Spare me. Zilan suddenly kneeled down. I know I was wrong. I was frightened by Gu Fenghua's strength. That's why I became their dog. As long as you spare me, I'm willing to be your dog. He knew that Ling Xiao was no longer the same as before. With his current strength, there was no way he could defeat Ling Xiao. The only thing he could do was beg for mercy. I don't need a dog like you. Ling Xiao didn't have a good impression of Zilan. With a grin on his face, he condensed the seal of Fiend God and turned it into a blood-red halo, then merged with the Blood Sovereign Sword. He even put away the Blood Sovereign Sword. After that, he stared at Zilan coldly. Through the attack, just now, he had a clear understanding of Zilan's strength. Although Zilan was a peak 5th rank Divine Core warrior, he was still a peak 5th rank Divine Core warrior. Most of his strength was obtained by consuming pills. His combat strength was even weaker than Yu Qilong's. Therefore, in front of Jiang Chen, who was an early 4th rank Divine Core warrior, he was nothing. 10 swords combined into one kill. A low 5th Order Emperor realm martial skill was more than enough to kill Zilan. There was no need for him to use the Seal of Fiend God. 10 sword beams combined into one and arrived in front of Zilan in a split second. In that split second, Zilan unleashed a powerful attack with all his strength. However, it was meaningless. His attack was instantly shattered by the sword beam. Even his body had exploded. His gold core tried to escape, but it was swallowed by Ling Xiao's divine core. At this point, Zilan was completely dead. So valiant! Zilong shouted excitedly. The people from the king's residence were also looking at each other. They could not believe how strong Ling Xiao was. All right, now is not the time to be in a daze. Go and transport all of the resources of the Zifu army to the king's mansion. Then you can continue to stay here. I want to go to the Purple Mansion Royal City to save Big Sister Monarch. During this period, try not to leave the Purple Spirit Capital City. This group of idiots set up the Golden Light Dragon Trapping Grand Array, which is perfect for me to use. After Ling Xiao finished speaking, he was about to leave. Wait, brother Ling Xiao, take me with you. After all, she's my sister. Zilong shouted. If you want to be my burden, then come with me. These words may sound unpleasant, but you should understand that I'm facing Gu Fenghua and Qing Mashue. What can you do to help? Ling Xiao couldn't be bothered to say anything else at this point. He believed that Zilong understood his intentions. All right, I understand. Zilong took a deep breath and finally decided to give up. I'll stay here and cultivate and wait for your return. That's right. Ling Xiao nodded his head satisfyingly. Remember, don't let anyone you don't know into the Purple Mansion Royal City. Once bitten, twice shy. If you don't have enough strength to protect yourself, then don't carelessly show your pity. After saying that, he flew into the sky and left. Zilong and the rest of the men started to transport the resources. Since everyone had a storage ring, it was a simple task. About 10 minutes later, all of Zilan's resources had been transported. Together with the 3 million upper-rank soul stones Ling Xiao gave them, it was enough for them to live in the Purple Spirit Capital City for at least a year. If Ling Xiao didn't return after a year, he would be dead. They had to decide what to do next, either take revenge or run away. Right at this moment, Ling Xiao had just left the Purple Spirit Capital's territory. Suddenly, he sensed a powerful aura that made his body tremble. Not good. It's a peak 5th Heavenly Core warrior. His expression immediately changed. Using his Taiji eye, he saw a man. Yu Zhen. Yu Zhen's cultivation was exactly the same as Zilan's. However, compared to Zilan, his combat strength was much stronger. Although they were enemies, Ling Xiao had to admit that Yu Zhen's combat strength was dozens of times stronger than Zilan's. Unless he used the Dong Sheng Emperor Ring, there was no way he could win. but he was going to the Purple Palace Royal City to save someone. If he couldn't even defeat Yuzhen, how could he save that person? With this thought in mind, he didn't leave but decided to stay. After a brief moment, Yuzhen arrived. No wonder Qilong asked me to come to the Purple Spirit Capital. That trash Zilon didn't kill you? Or did he betray young master Gu Fenghua again? As soon as Yuzhen arrived, he immediately used the dragon trapping talisman, a mortal rank heavenly king weapon. It looked like Yu Qilong had told him a lot about Ling Xiao. He was worried that Ling Xiao would run away. That was why he did this. That old trash has been killed by me. Do you want to be the next one? Ling Xiao stared at Yuzhen and said with a cold voice, Don't compare me with that trash. That trash, how could he have my combat strength? Yuzhen said with disdain, Enough with the nonsense. Once I kill you, that thing will be mine. After saying that, Yuzhen unleashed his powerful sword soul. The frightening aura was dozens of times stronger than Zilan's. Ling Xiao furrowed his brows. He could feel that his chance of survival in this battle was less than 10%. Man and sword as one, kill! While shouting furiously, Yuzhen's attack arrived. It was the same attack, but it was nearly 100 times stronger than Yu Qilong's attack. If Ling Xiao hadn't broken through to the early 4th heavenly core realm, he would have been killed by this attack. Crack! Ling Xiao tried his best to defend himself, but he was still sent flying away. Although he had a powerful body, he was still severely injured. But this attack had finally allowed him to break through to the mid-4th level divine core realm from the early 4th level. His combat strength had increased by 10 times, but it was just 10 times it couldn't change anything. In front of Yuzhen, he was still the one being beaten up. Good kid, you're still alive after being hit by my attack. Looks like Qilong was right. You've really grown too fast. If I don't kill you now, I'm afraid we'll both be in trouble in the future. After witnessing Ling Xiao's tenacity, Yuzhen didn't want to hold back. The second attack was even more ferocious. Fiend Celestial Seal, Bloodthirsty Jungle. Without any other choice, Ling Xiao unleashed his most powerful attack. Bloodthirsty Jungle unleashed. The frightening aura caused Yuzhen to feel fear. Suddenly he stopped. Kill! Ling Xiao ordered. The 3,000 demon beasts turned into 3,000 sword seals, and each of them was as powerful as an early 5th Heavenly Core Warrior's full-force attack. Even Yuzhen dared not underestimate his enemy. He could only defend himself with all his might. Chapter 38:26. There was a reason why Ling Xiao didn't attack with the Dongxing Emperor Ring. For him, it was his ultimate life-saving treasure. If he encountered a 6th level divine core warrior, it would be best to use it. After all, he could only use it once a day. If he used it now, he wouldn't be able to use it again for the rest of the day. After trapping Yuzhen in the bloodthirsty jungle, Ling Xiao took out the frightening Dongxing Devil Sword. The Dongxing Devil Sword, an existence with a sword soul. When he attacked, the frightening aura of the Bloodfang Heaven-breaking rat filled the entire area. Even Ling Xiao felt his body trembling. What he was holding in his hand wasn't a sword, but a frightening demon beast. It was something he couldn't control, at least not with his current cultivation. But in order to escape, he could use it to break free from the dragon trapping talisman. After all, the Bloodfang Heaven-breaking rat hated the feeling of being restrained. Slash! Like a piece of paper being cut open by a knife, the Dongxing Devil Sword easily broke free from the dragon trapping talisman. Ling Xiao put away the Dongxing Devil Sword, and he immediately felt dizzy. Suppressing the urge to faint, he sped up into the sky and unleashed the earth, crossing Golden Light Skill, flying away in a panic. In the next moment, he fell into a river. Just like that, he fainted. He drifted along the river. Ling Xiao felt like he had entered a mysterious state. He could feel that he was still alive, but he couldn't wake up. After drifting for an unknown amount of time, Ling Xiao felt that his eyelids weren't as heavy as before. Most of the injuries on his body had healed, and he could now move his heavy limbs. Suddenly, he sensed the aura of a living person, but he didn't sense any malicious intent. This made him feel relieved. He couldn't fight for now, and if he really couldn't, he would have to use the life reversal ability. But it was also a life-saving ability. It would be a waste to waste it. "Look, there's a dead body over there." Suddenly a voice sounded out. A capsized boat was sailing across the wide river. The boat wasn't big, but it was more than enough to sail across the river. The one who spoke was a young girl standing on the deck of the boat. She was only 15 or 16 years old, and her eyes were as clear as water. She looked innocent and unaffected. Hearing this, everyone on the boat looked at the river. What a strange corpse. It's floating on the water, but its clothes aren't even wet. No, he didn't die. I think he moved a little. Wow, it's actually a living person. Let's hurry up and save him. The young girl said anxiously. No, what if he's a water bandit? Young miss, don't forget that old master was ambushed by water bandits a few days ago, which was why he was seriously injured. Someone advised. How could he be a water bandit? If he really was a water bandit, he would have been rescued by his companions. Don't forget that the water bandits are rampant here. They are more likely to discover him than us. Perhaps they thought it was a corpse and ignored it. Why don't we save him and tie him up with a special rope? This way, even if he is a water bandit, he can't do anything. Although the girl was young, she had a lot of ideas. All right, save them. Anyway, we need help now. If they aren't water bandits, they'll be a force to be reckoned with. The others thought about it and saved the young man from the water. What a handsome young man. But I wonder how strong he is? The young girl giggled. Young Miss Feifei, he doesn't look old, so his strength shouldn't be that great. At most, he's at the 5th or 6th level of the divine vein realm. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been beaten unconscious. No matter what, let's go back first. Father has good eyesight and should be able to tell this person's identity. Although Mu Feifei was young, she was the young miss of a large family in this generation. She had learned to manage the family's affairs from her parents at a very young age. Therefore, she wasn't as innocent as she looked on the surface. She was a girl with a lot of ideas. Ling Xiao didn't know that he had floated along the river to a place isolated from the rest of the world, Peach Blossom Bay. The connection between Peach Blossom Bay and the outside world was a teleportation gate. This teleportation gate was in a very secluded place. Ling Xiao accidentally floated in because he couldn't control himself. Peach Blossom Bay's Mu clan could be said to be the strongest clan here. However, they were still harassed by water bandits for a long time, especially the purple blood water bandits that had recently emerged. Their development was extremely fast. Not only the Mu clan, many people in Peach Blossom Bay were also harassed by the purple blood water bandits. This was also the reason why the few people on the ship didn't dare to easily save Ling Xiao. Not long after, the ship arrived at a city on the water. The streets of the city were basically waterways. People didn't travel by carriage, but by boat. The demonic beasts they rode could also swim in the water or fly in the sky. The scale of the city wasn't small. It was as big as a purple spirit capital city. This was the largest city in Peach Blossom Bay and also the city with the most developed business, Peach Blossom City. Nearly 70% of the people in Peach Blossom Bay lived here. When entering the city, everyone had to be interrogated. Of course, this was not a method to accept bribes, but to prevent the water bandits from the purple blood water bandits from sneaking in as spies. Recently, many people in Peach Blossom City had died innocently at the hands of those water bandits. There were even rumors that those water bandits were waiting for an opportunity to attack Peach Blossom City. Of course, the Mu clan was the #1 clan in Peach Blossom City. The Mu clan's old master was also the Peach Blossom City's city lord. Therefore, No one dared to search their ship. No matter where it was the same. Sometimes power was really useful. After arriving at the Mu clan, Ling Xiao was arranged to rest in a room. However, the room was locked and guarded by a 9th-level Divine Vein realm martial artist. Ling Xiao's identity was unknown. They naturally did this for his safety. Mu Feifei invited an apothecary to treat Ling Xiao's illness. However, the apothecary's conclusion confused her. This person is not sick. He should have entered some kind of special state of comprehension, so he can't wake up for a while. We can only wait for him to wake up naturally. Mu Feifei was helpless and could only wait. Now, she was even more curious about Ling Xiao's identity. Half a day later, the room was empty. Ling Xiao suddenly sat up from the bed. Actually, he knew everything that had happened in the past few days, but he couldn't wake up. It was really worrying. However, sleeping for these few days was not without benefits. He discovered that his cultivation had become much more exquisite. Some of the loopholes that appeared in his cultivation in the past had actually been completely repaired. Not only that, the effects of the Tai Chi eye and the 4-leaf demonic eyes had become stronger than before, and these were all done while he was sleeping soundly. It was as if he had a dream. In his dream, he saw the great battle in the ancient times. From the battles between those experts, he comprehended many essences of the martial Tao. Growl! His stomach suddenly grumbled. Ling Xiao's old face turned red. Even as a martial artist, he still had to eat. It was just that not eating for 10 days to half a month was not a big problem. It was just that his physical body would weaken because of this. Chapter 38:27. Clang! The door was pushed open. The martial artist guarding outside the door was obviously very nervous. You don't have to do that. I'm just hungry. Can you get me something to eat? Ling Xiao looked at the guard and said. He knew what had happened before, so he was actually grateful to this family. Therefore, his tone was relatively gentle. Go get the young lady. Can the young lady be eaten? Ling Xiao was speechless for a while. Fortunately, the little girl named Mu Feifei understood his words. She hurriedly ordered the kitchen to prepare some food and bring it over. But a few minutes later, Mu Feifei's eyes almost popped out. Is this a human or a beast? Good heavens, one person ate the food of 100 people. He actually wants to continue? Haha. Sorry, I haven't eaten for a few days. I've consumed a lot of energy. Although food was not the best thing to replenish one's physical strength, it was the most enjoyable thing for a human. How could eating pills be more satisfying than eating delicious food? Are you full? Mu Feifei asked with her little face in her hands. Well, almost. Thank you. Ling Xiao touched his stomach and smiled. This is just almost. Mu Feifei smiled bitterly. Why were you thrown into the water? She asked curiously. Actually, it's nothing. I was fighting with others and was injured, so I fainted. Ling Xiao felt that there was nothing to be embarrassed about. I see. But you're really lucky. You were discovered by us. If you were discovered by the water bandits of the Purple Bloodwater Fort, you would probably be in trouble. Those people are bad guys who kill without batting an eyelid. Our Peach Blossom Bay has developed waterways, so all the traveling merchants have to pass through the waterways. Now that the Purple Bloodwater Fort has caused trouble, business and life are difficult. Mu Feifei sighed and said, Is the Purple Bloodwater Fort very powerful? Ling Xiao asked curiously. He had always been the kind of person who would repay the kindness of others with a drop of water. After repaying the favor, he could leave with peace of mind. And if he wanted to get out of here, he would probably need the help of the Mu family. He had to give them some benefits. Actually, there have always been water bandits in our Peach Blossom Bay. Later on, my ancestors worked together with some people to build this Peach Blossom City. After gathering the people, there were also facilities to manage Peach Blossom City. There were also Peach Blossom soldiers to clean up the water bandits. This made the water bandits no longer dare to act recklessly. But recently, for some unknown reason, the Purple Bloodwater Fort had suddenly risen. A powerful expert appeared and seriously injured our Moo family's patriarch and Peach Blossom City city lord. As a result, Peach Blossom City was now without a leader. Although Peach Blossom City had the Peach Blossom soldiers, they were not afraid of the Purple Blood Bandits for the time being. However, the people who went out were in danger. The activities of the Purple Bloodwater Fort were becoming more and more rampant. Some of the water bandits who did not dare to act openly in the past also joined their ranks, causing the strength of the Purple Bloodwater Bandits to increase greatly. I heard that he was looking for something. Speaking of this, Mu Feifei glanced at Ling Xiao. Although this little girl was young, her mind was not muddled at all. She was observing Ling Xiao's reaction. "You don't have to look at me like that. I'm not from Peach Blossom Bay, and it's impossible for me to have any relationship with the Purple Bloodwater Fort," Ling Xiao said with a smile on his face. Mu Feifei's thoughts were seen through, and she couldn't help but feel annoyed. What the hell? What the hell? But since you saved my life, if there's anything I can do for you, just tell me. But I have something urgent to deal with, so I hope it won't take too long, Ling Xiao added. Just as Mu Feifei was about to say something, a man suddenly rushed in. "Not good, Miss Feifei. Something bad has happened. Something big has happened." "Speak slowly, don't panic," Mu Feifei said with a frown on her face. Miss Feifei, the Purple Bloodwater Fort suddenly surrounded Peach Blossom City. "I have no idea why they are doing this." The man took a deep breath, then told Mu Feifei a shocking news. Hearing the news, Ling Xiao couldn't help but furrow his brows. Peach Blossom City was an existence that was equivalent to a purple spirit capital city. According to Mu Feifei, there were more than 100,000 Peach Blossom soldiers. Although there weren't as many as the Purple Palace soldiers, they were all elites and all of them were at the Divine Core Realm. The strongest among them was a perfect fourth Heavenly Core Warrior. As for the Mu family's clan chief, the Peach Blossom City city lord, he was a mid-fifth Heavenly Core Warrior. He was also the #1 warrior of the Peach Blossom Bay. Although the Mu family's clan chief was severely injured, the Peach Blossom City was still heavily guarded. The Peach Blossom City was still heavily guarded, and the Purple Bloodwater Fort's water bandits numbered less than 10,000. Attacking the city? What a joke! These water bandits must have some kind of purpose. Mu Feifei said they were looking for something, and that was most likely the case. "Listen to my orders. Don't panic. Guard the 4 city gates. Don't let the water bandits attack. Also, without my orders, no one is allowed to act on their own. Those who disobey will be killed." Mu Feifei was actually displaying the qualities of a general. It seemed that her parents had raised this girl very well. The people of Peach Blossom City were united against a common enemy, although some of them were afraid of the water bandits. But most of them were sharpening their weapons. They didn't look like they were the ones being attacked, but more like they were going to eliminate the water bandits. The people here were quite valiant. This was completely different from the scenery of the Peach Blossom Spring. "Young lady, is there anything I can help you with?" Ling Xiao asked. "Not at the moment. You just need to have a good rest. Once the water bandits retreat, I'll send you away. But for your safety, I'll still send some men to guard this place. Don't think too much about it. You're a stranger after all." Mu Feifei stood up and looked at Ling Xiao. "All right." Ling Xiao nodded his head. He believed that if Mu Feifei really had a problem she couldn't solve, she would definitely come to him. He was happy to stay in his room and cultivate, strengthening the seal of Celestial and Demon. The seal of Celestial and Demon had only reached minor completion. Therefore, it wasn't too powerful. 2 days had passed, and Ling Xiao had cultivated the seal of Celestial and Demon to the proficient level. This had something to do with his previous comprehension. The power of the seal of Celestial and Demon had more than doubled. But strangely, those water bandits didn't retreat, nor did they attack. It was really hard to figure out. Mu Feifei didn't come either, and Ling Xiao was a little anxious. After all, Ziqinya was still waiting for him in the Purple Mansion Royal City. Thinking of this, he directly released the Hell, Shadow, Rabbit Beast soul, and then entered the Shadow Warrior form. He quietly slipped out of the room. Smelling Mu Feifei's scent, Ling Xiao came to a side room. At this moment, he could hear Mu Feifei crying, "Father, tell me, what should I do? I really miss you so much. Mother passed away early, and you have always been my backbone. Now that you're seriously injured and the purple bloodwater bandits are stirring up trouble, I really feel powerless." Hearing this, Ling Xiao frowned and walked in. He directly showed his true body. Mu Feifei was shocked to see someone suddenly appear beside her. She was about to scream, but Ling Xiao covered her mouth. Chapter 38:28. Don't shout. I don't mean any harm. It's just that as an apothecary, I think I might be able to save your father. Compared to martial arts, Ling Xiao was actually more confident in alchemy to save people. Mu Feifei nodded. Only then did Ling Xiao let go of her. As expected, Mu Feifei didn't shout. Although her eyes were still filled with doubt, she still wanted to give it a try. After all, her father had been seriously injured for several days. If this continued, it would be troublesome. "Can you really save my father?" Mu Feifei asked. "You'll know once you try." Ling Xiao grabbed the Mu family head's hand and injected a trace of vital essence into it. He couldn't help but nod and say, "Your father was plotted against, and there's an evil aura in his body blocking his meridians. That's why he's unconscious. Is there a way to wake him up?" Mu Feifei asked again. "Of course, who do you think I am?" Ling Xiao smiled and suddenly increased the input of vital essence. The blood-red, bloodthirsty plague flowed in along with the vital essence. It swallowed the evil aura and absorbed it into Ling Xiao's body. In that instant, the Mu family had moved. A moment later, he opened his eyes. He's really awake. Mu Feifei felt like she was dreaming. A random person she saved actually helped her father recover from his serious injuries. He's awake, but due to the accumulation of the evil aura, it'll probably take more than 10 days for him to fully recover. Ling Xiao reminded her. He's already very lucky to be able to wake up. Mu Feifei was extremely grateful. "By the way, I really don't know who you are. Until now, you haven't said your name," she asked hurriedly. "Ling Xiao." Ling Xiao said indifferently. "This name is simple and easy to understand." Mu Feifei smiled. At this moment, she suddenly heard a commotion outside. Ling Xiao said with a wry smile, "I'm afraid I left the room and caused the chaos." "It's okay, I'll explain." Mu Feifei was very grateful to Ling Xiao. She also believed that if Ling Xiao was really one of the water bandits, he would never save her father. "Feifei, gather everyone. I have something important to announce." The patriarch of the Mu clan struggled to sit up and said. He looked very anxious. "Oh." After a while, the important leaders of the Mu clan and Peach Blossom City gathered in the Mu clan's meeting hall. Ling Xiao and Mu Feifei stood to the left and right of the Mu family head. Everyone looked at Ling Xiao with a strange expression. The Mu family's patriarch said in a clear voice, "Today I will talk about 2 things. Firstly, this is Brother Ling Xiao. He is the one who saved me. Secondly, the water bandits did not besiege the city to attack Peach Blossom City. Their true goal was to find the legendary Peach Blossom treasure." These 2 sentences caused a huge commotion. The fact that Ling Xiao had saved the patriarch of the Mu family was already new and shocking enough. But the water bandits were actually looking for the Peach Blossom treasure. This was even more ridiculous. The Peach Blossom treasure has always been just a legend. No one has ever really found it. That's right. When our ancestors came to Peach Blossom Bay, this legend was already spread among the local natives. But now that 1,000 years have passed, even those natives don't know the whereabouts of the Peach Blossom treasure. How did the purple blood water bandits know? Everyone was extremely surprised. And at this time, Ling Xiao also finally understood the reason why those water bandits surrounded but did not attack. Sure enough, just as he expected, the other party's goal was not to attack Peach Blossom City, but to find the treasure. Perhaps that mysterious expert who suddenly descended on the purple blood water bandits was the key. This group of water bandits was also powerful, surrounding Peach Blossom City and not letting the people of Peach Blossom City out. In this way, the treasure would naturally belong to them. Patriarch, if that's really the case, then we absolutely can't just sit here and do nothing. Once the Peach Blossom treasure falls into the hands of the water bandits, it will be a disaster for Peach Blossom City. Right. Even if we can't get it, we absolutely can't let the water bandits get it. For the people of Peach Blossom City, the treasure wasn't important. They were living a good life right now. They were safe and they were happy. Although it was undeniable that some people were greedy. But most of them just didn't want the treasure to fall into the hands of the water bandits. Because if they did, the water bandits would become stronger, and the people of Peach Blossom City would have a hard time. There's no need to argue anymore. The treasure can't fall into the hands of the water bandits. I agree with you on this point as well. Therefore, I suggest that we form an elite team and break through the water bandits' encirclement. Then we can go and fight for the treasure. The Mu family's patriarch had made this decision after careful consideration. If they launched a large-scale attack, both sides would suffer losses. Although the people of Peach Blossom City were tough, there had never been any battles. How could they be compared to those ferocious water bandits? Therefore, it was better to let these men guard the city. Then they would send out an elite team to fight for the treasure. This way, they could take care of both sides at the same time. His suggestion was supported by all the leaders of Peach Blossom City. Therefore, soon, a team of 100 men was formed. Within this team, there were 10 perfect 4th Divine Core Warriors, 23rd Divine Core Warriors, 32nd Level Divine Core Warriors, 41st Divine Core Warriors. All of them were Divine Core Warriors, and there were exactly 100 of them. But too bad, the Mu family's patriarch was a mid-5th Divine Core Warrior, and he had just recovered from his serious injuries. Therefore, he couldn't move. If not, this team would be even stronger. The leader of this team was Mu Feifei. Although Mu Feifei was young, she was a perfect 1st Divine Core Warrior. The energy in Peach Blossom Bay was much richer than the outside world, and it was a very nourishing environment. Of course, Mu Feifei's strength wasn't the key point. She was mainly responsible for commanding the troops. Dad, I have a request. Why don't you let Ling Xiao come with us? His medical skills are so good. If one of our people is injured, he can also help. Mu Feifei suddenly suggested. No, he's too weak. He'll only be a burden if he comes with us. Besides, I still don't trust him. Who knows if he's a spy for the water bandits? In Peach Blossom City, not everyone was as nice as Mu Feifei. Of course, there were also those who didn't like Ling Xiao. Even though Ling Xiao had saved the Mu family's patriarch, it was still the same. Or, to put it bluntly, there were some people who wanted the Mu family's patriarch dead. Since Ling Xiao had saved the Mu family's patriarch, he had naturally become a thorn in their side. That's right, we don't know what's going on right now. I suggest we lock him up in the water dungeon and keep a close watch on him. It won't be too late to release him after everything is over. Someone agreed. Nonsense. Since when did the people of Peach Blossom City become so ungrateful? Do you want me to be a person who bites the hand that feeds me? The Mu family's patriarch furiously shouted. There's no need to discuss this any further. Brother Ling Xiao, do you plan to stay in Peach Blossom City, or do you plan to go with Feifei to fight for the treasure? He decided to ask for Ling Xiao's opinion. I'll go with Miss Fei Fei. She's my savior. I want to keep her safe. Ling Xiao thought for a moment. Chapter 38:29. All right, then it's decided. Young Master Ling Xiao will go with Fei Fei and the others to fight for the peach blossom treasure. Hearing Ling Xiao's answer, the Mu family head smiled. Although he didn't know how strong Ling Xiao was, just his medical skills were enough for him to make friends with him. But I have a question. What exactly is this peach blossom treasure? Ling Xiao had just arrived and had never heard of the legend of the peach blossom treasure, so he asked. Hearing this, everyone was even more relieved. Ling Xiao didn't even know about the peach blossom treasure, which meant that he wasn't from the Peach Blossom Bay. Otherwise, it was impossible for him not to have heard of this legend. This was something that even a 3-year-old child knew about. Speaking of the peach blossom treasure, in fact, there was this legend long before our ancestors came to the Peach Blossom Bay. Legend has it that 1,000 years ago there was an existence called Thief God in the Golden Heavens domain. The Mu family head said the reason why the Thief God was called Thief God was because his stealing skills were simply amazing. With his powerful strength, magical movement, and strange stealing skills, this person had created a reputation in the Golden Heavens domain. He stole countless treasures. It was said that when he was at his strongest, even the emperors of the 4 great countries were no match for him, and his movement skills were even more mysterious. Even the experts of the Golden Heavens domain couldn't catch him. The 4 emperors joined forces with many experts of the Golden Heavens domain to encircle and suppress him, but he still escaped. Hearing this, Ling Xiao was a little surprised. This person was really worthy of being called the Thief God. He could actually escape from the siege of so many experts. It was really amazing. This peach blossom treasure should be related to this Thief God. He had stolen so many things in his life, and he must have sealed them in the Peach Blossom Bay. That was why it was called the Peach Blossom Treasure. But why did the Thief God come to the Peach Blossom Spring? This matter made him a little puzzled. The Mu family head's next words gave him an answer. The Thief God's consummate skill, the Plum Blossom Acupuncture Technique, is a terrifying divine skill that can be cultivated to the 9th level of the Emperor realm. But there is a problem with cultivating the Plum Blossom Acupuncture Technique, which is that it needs to constantly challenge the strong. Only in this way can there be a breakthrough. Otherwise, they would remain stagnant, unable to grow and evolve. This Thief God was also very bold. In order to upgrade his Plum Blossom Acupuncture hand, he actually targeted the Golden Emperor of the Golden Heavenly Nation. The result was obvious. No matter how strong he was, no matter how outstanding his body movement was, he was no match for His Majesty Golden Emperor. However, this guy was tenacious enough. His movement technique was even more stunning. He was heavily injured by Huang Jindi. In the end, he fled to Peach Blossom Bay and was rescued by the local natives. Thus, the legend of the Peach Blossom Treasure was born. It was said that he had put everything he had learned in his life, as well as all the treasures he had stolen, into his storage ring, and then hid them in Peach Blossom Bay. There were also 2 versions of that aboriginal. The first type was killed by God. The other was that the natives didn't know about the treasure and died in a shipwreck. Either way, the treasure's whereabouts were unknown. I don't know how the Purple Blood Mountain stronghold found out. Hearing up to here, Ling Xiao could not help but sigh. No wonder these people were so excited when they heard about the Peach Blossom Treasure. Not to mention other things. Just the Plum Blossom Acupuncture Technique was enough to tempt everyone. That was a growth-type martial skill. The highest level it could reach was the 9th level of the Emperor Realm. Even the 9 Heavens of Slaughter or the immemorial martial skill could not reach such a level. Not to mention the Thief God's godly body movement technique. To be able to escape from Huang Jindi with serious injuries, it was definitely a top-grade treasure. In addition, The thief god's life savings were also a huge amount of wealth. If it fell into the hands of the Purple Blood Mountain stronghold, it would be troublesome. Peach Blossom Bay would no longer have peace. It's precisely because the Peach Blossom treasure is of great importance that we can't let the Purple Blood Mountain stronghold succeed this time, even if we have to destroy it. Yes, if we can't get it, we'll destroy it. Although there were a few people who were greedy, there were more people who were panicking, because they were worried that after the Purple Blood Mountain stronghold obtained the thief god's treasure, they would break the peace of Peach Blossom Bay. Ling Xiao smiled. Since you want to destroy those treasures, then I won't stand on ceremony and accept it. He thought of himself as a normal person, and there was no way he wouldn't be tempted by the treasure. After all, most of the people in Peach Blossom City just wanted a peaceful life. By doing this, he was repaying his debt of gratitude. As long as he didn't let the Purple Blood Mountain stronghold or those with evil intentions obtain the Peach Blossom treasure, everything would be fine. After a brief moment, the 101 men were ready. Led by Mu Feifei, they charged out from the weakest point of the Water Bandits' defense. Those Water Bandits were merely divine vein realm martial artists. There was no way they could defend against the combined attack of 101 divine core warriors. Ling Xiao tried his best to keep a low profile. He didn't attack, instead he used other people's battles to break through the encirclement. Among these people, many of them were staring at him. Perhaps they didn't trust him, or perhaps there were other reasons, but there was no way they could escape from Ling Xiao's soul energy. Although the group encountered some water bandits along the way, they weren't too troublesome. Because they were all strong warriors, they were easily dealt with. After traveling for 2 miles, they finally arrived at the place where all the strong water bandits gathered. An iron-armored ship was docked in this area of water. The warriors on the ship were ready for battle. The leader was wearing a silver mask, and he was emitting a powerful aura. It was a terrifying aura. I think that man is the outsider. Mu Feifei said, "Everyone, since you're here, why don't we have a chat on the ship?" The man didn't give the order to attack. Instead, he spoke with an indifferent tone. "Sure." Mu Feifei smiled and asked everyone to board the ship. Some people tried to persuade her, but Mu Feifei was firm. Ling Xiao was secretly praising this girl. He had a rough idea of the situation on the ship, apart from the silver-masked man, who was a mid-5th level divine core warrior. As for the rest, they were far weaker than the elites in Peach Blossom City. If both sides fought with brute force, no one would have the upper hand. In the end, both sides would perish together, and the outsiders would be the ones who would benefit. Mu Feifei had probably realized this as well, and she knew the other side wouldn't dare to act recklessly. That was why she acted this way. Everyone boarded the ship. The silver-masked man smiled and said, "I won't lie in front of you. The reason we sealed off this place is to prevent the news from leaking out. Since all of you are here, why don't we search for the treasure together?" "No, the treasure belongs to Peach Blossom City." "That's right. Why should we share it with you?" Perhaps because the silver-masked man's attitude had softened, the warriors of Peach Blossom City became complacent. "Shut up, all of you!" Mu Feifei suddenly shouted out in a cold voice. "Don't forget, I'm the one who makes the decision this time." She looked at the silver-masked man and said, "I agree." This girl was indeed not simple. She was so young, but she was extremely intelligent. She could tell with just a glance that the silver-masked man was strong. If they fought with force, it wouldn't benefit anyone. Chapter 3830. Hee, there are so many people in Peach Blossom City, but none of them are as courageous as a little girl. The silver-masked man sneered and said, "Let me put it bluntly, your treasure? Do you know where it is?" His voice was filled with disdain. "The reason why we're working with you is because we don't want to consume too much. Don't think too highly of yourself. All right, stop talking nonsense." Since we're going to open the treasure together, let's share the information. Mu Feifei said coldly. Working with bandits was a very dangerous thing to do. If she didn't have any other choice, she would never do it. Naturally, she didn't feel comfortable about it. All right, the Peach Blossom City's treasure is underneath this ship. But there's a problem. The place where the treasure is hidden has been set up with a powerful formation. Even a divine vein warrior won't be able to withstand it. My men went down a few times, but many of them died. Only then did I get the exact information. There is indeed a hidden underwater secret room underneath. Hearing what the Silver Masked Man said, Ling Xiao activated his Tai Chi eye and looked underneath the ship. Just like what the Silver Masked Man said, the water was very deep, about 1,000 meters deep. Every 100 meters, there would be a layer of formations. It could increase the water pressure by 10 times. In other words, the deeper they went, the greater the water pressure would be. It was impossible for ordinary people to reach the deepest part. No wonder the Silver Masked Man said all divine vein warriors were dangerous. He was right. I'll go down and have a look. I don't believe it. In Peach Blossom City, an early first-rank divine core warrior stood up and said, I advise you not to go down. Ling Xiao reminded him, these bandits are willing to work with us to open the treasure. This only means one thing. It's very dangerous down there. If you go down there, something bad will happen. He didn't want to tell the man what he saw with his Tai Chi eye, but he could still give a kind reminder. Too bad the man didn't listen to him. He simply tied himself to a safety rope and jumped down. After a brief moment, the safety rope started shaking violently. Everyone hastily pulled the rope up, but they found that the man was dead. His body was compressed into a thin layer, and his internal organs, including his inner core, were all broken. Terrifying. What is going on? Only now did the crowd believe Ling Xiao's words. They didn't dare try anything else. After all, his life was the most important. Ling Xiao, what do you think? Mu Feifei had always thought highly of Ling Xiao, and Ling Xiao had made the right judgment this time. That was why she asked Ling Xiao for help. Faced with Mu Feifei's request for help, Ling Xiao would naturally help. No matter what, this girl had helped him. I suspect that the thief god has set up layers upon layers of formations in the past. Although the effect of the formation may not be as good as before due to the lack of maintenance, it is still very terrifying. Ling Xiao said indifferently. Hearing this, the Silver Masked Man's eyes flashed. Obviously, Ling Xiao was right. This was the conclusion that they had reached after risking over a dozen lives. This brat had actually seen through it with a single sentence. Boss, there's something strange about this kid. The chief of the Purple Bloodwater Fort looked at the Silver Mask and could not help but ask. He should know a little about formations. However, his cultivation is too weak and there is nothing to be afraid of. The Silver Mask pondered for a moment and shook his head. Ling Xiao's current strength was only at the 7th level of the Divine Vein Realm. He had done this on purpose. Letting others look down on him was the best way to hide himself. Hearing that there was a formation, the people of Peach Blossom City immediately began to discuss. Among these 100 elites, there were still people who knew about formations. Ling Xiao did not participate in the discussion. At this moment, he was standing on the deck, looking at the water below indifferently. Tai Chi was quickly analyzing. A moment later, the conclusion was out. The method to break the formation and the entrance to the treasure were already clear in his heart. Of course, he would not say it out loud. If he really said it out loud, the Silver Mask and the people of the Purple Bloodwater Fort would probably vomit blood. They had spent more than a dozen lives and only knew that there was a terrifying formation below and that there was indeed a secret room. They did not know anything else. But Ling Xiao only took a few glances at the bottom of the water and knew everything. Wasn't this crazy? After waiting for a long time, the two sides clearly still did not come to any conclusion. Ling Xiao turned to Mu Feifei and said, "Come here for a moment." Mu Feifei was startled for a moment. but she still obediently walked to Ling Xiao's side. Ling Xiao lowered his voice and whispered into her ear. Thief God didn't set up this formation to kill everyone. He also hoped that someone could inherit his legacy. Therefore, this formation is not a killing formation. If you trust me, find someone to try it out. After entering the water, just circulate your true yuan to maintain your body's normal condition. Don't try to fight against the water pressure. Also, it's best to send a third divine core warrior down there. The entrance to the treasure is in the deepest part of the formation. It's easy to find. Although Ling Xiao really wanted the Peach Blossom City's treasure, it was too dangerous for him to go alone. Therefore, he might as well give the method to break the formation to these people. Then, everyone would go down together. This way, it would be safer. Hearing what Ling Xiao said, Mu Feifei furrowed her brows. Obviously, she was still hesitating. Why don't I try it out myself? Ling Xiao suddenly smiled. But you're so weak. Mu Feifei furrowed her brows and said, Don't worry, although my cultivation is weak, I've been cultivating my body. The water pressure won't kill me. Ling Xiao didn't want to explain further. If he continued to waste time here, the news would only spread faster. A long night would bring more trouble. If a stronger warrior came, it would be troublesome. He didn't care what Mu Feifei thought. He just jumped into the water without even asking for a safety rope. After a brief moment, a whistling arrow flew out from the water. We did it! Mu Feifei was pleasantly surprised. What's going on? Everyone looked at Mu Feifei with a blank expression. Ling Xiao said that it's easy to break this formation. We just don't need to fight against the water pressure with our true yuan. Also, it's best to send a third divine core warrior down there, or else it'll still be dangerous. Mu Feifei explained. He's only a 7th divine vein warrior, but he can go in there. Why can't we? Let's go in together. They were afraid that Ling Xiao would take all the treasures for himself. No matter if it was the people from the Purple Blood Stronghold or Peach Blossom City, none of them took Ling Xiao's warning seriously. They all jumped into the water. Right at this moment, Ling Xiao flew out from the water. What's going on? He asked Mu Feifei. They're all crazy. They don't want to live anymore. Mu Feifei said with a bitter smile. Let's go, I'll bring you down with me. Ling Xiao didn't care if Mu Feifei agreed or not. He grabbed Mu Feifei's hand and jumped into the water. With him leading the way, Mu Feifei arrived at the bottom of the water safely. However, those people down there had bitter expressions on their faces, because they didn't listen to Ling Xiao's warning. Nearly half of them died on the way down. Although the method was correct, they still needed to be strong enough. Chapter 38-31. Ling Xiao had no sympathy for those who didn't listen to his warning. They were courting death. Who could they blame? This time there were a total of 60 people who came to the entrance of the treasure room. There were only 40 men left in Peach Blossom City and 20 pirates. Before they came down, there were nearly 300 men on both sides. The overall strength of the pirates was weak, so more of them died. More than half of the warriors in Peach Blossom City were killed. It was a miserable situation. Misfortune never came alone. Right after they entered the water, the iron-armored ship was quickly taken over by someone. The rest of the pirates were killed before they could even see who it was. There were only 4 men who appeared on the iron-armored ship. 2 men and 2 women. The leader was wearing a white robe, and he had a handsome face. His eyes were filled with shrewdness and valiance. If anyone recognized him, they would know he was a famous pirate in the Peach Blossom Bay, the White Robe Master. This man imitated the legendary thief god. He acted in the same way. In terms of strength, he was somewhat comparable to the young god of thieves. Too bad he didn't have the thief god's plum blossom acupuncture hand and falling plum, clear shadow steps. That was why he was dissatisfied. The reason he came here was obviously for the Peach Blossom City's treasure. Next to him stood a beautiful girl. She wasn't old, but her strength wasn't weak. Behind her stood two tough men who looked like iron towers, as if they were made from the same mold. Both of them were 2 meters tall, and their bodies were muscular. "Who is it?" One of the pirates came out from the cabin. When he saw his comrade being killed, he immediately cried out in shock. However, before he could finish his sentence, he was killed. The white-robed master seemed to have used a hidden arrow. With just a light wave of his hand, the first divine core warrior was killed on the spot. He didn't even last for a second. He was turned into a puddle of pus. It looked like the hidden arrow contained a deadly poison. "Young master, do you want to go down?" The beautiful girl next to him asked with a smile on her face. Her voice was soft and flirtatious. Any ordinary man who heard it would feel their bones melt. "No need." The white-robed master shook his head and said, "Let's just stay here and reap the benefits. The thief god's treasure, it's not that easy to get it. Even if they get it, they will be exhausted. We just need to snatch the treasure from their hands. Actually, what I want is only the plum blossom acupuncture technique and the falling plum blossom clear shadow steps. The rest will go to the 3 of you. Young master is wise." The woman giggled. The 2 tower-like men did not speak. They looked like puppets. At the bottom of the water, after a moment of grief, everyone began to discuss how to enter the secret chamber. The dead cannot be brought back to life. This was something that could not be helped. They could only blame themselves for not listening to Ling Xiao. They couldn't blame anyone else. In front of them was a dark water cave. The entrance of the water cave was covered with algae. If one did not look carefully, they would not be able to find it. "You guys go first." The silver-masked man looked at Mu Feifei. "Let's go together. This entrance doesn't look small. It shouldn't be a problem for 4 or 5 people to go in at the same time." Mu Feifei said lightly. Although the 2 sides were in a cooperative relationship, after all, one side was water bandits while the other was an army. They would definitely be on guard against each other all the time. No one could be completely at ease with the other. Both sides finished their discussion. Then they entered the water cave together. There was water in the cave as well, but about 500 meters in front of them, there was an ingenious mechanism that diverted the water to the sides. The passage in the middle had become dry. Everyone was delighted, although for a divine core warrior, this kind of water wouldn't drown him to death. But the problem was that they didn't live in water often, and it was inconvenient. Dry ground was more comfortable. The deeper they went, the bigger the space became. Ling Xiao guessed that when the thief god came here, he knew he would not live for long. Therefore, he used money to lure the local natives to help him build this secret chamber. He used it as his burial place. Looking at the scale of the construction, although it was not as big as the ancient Dongxing Emperor's palace, it was not far behind. The silver-masked man seemed to be an expert in the art of mechanisms. On Mu Feifei's side, there was also a powerful warrior who was an expert in the art of mechanisms. They walked at the front, opening a path for everyone. Everyone was walking carefully and nervously. Only Ling Xiao walked next to Mu Feifei. He didn't show any nervousness on his face. Under his Tai Chi eye, he could see everything clearly without missing a single detail. Whether or not there was any danger, he knew best. "Look, the entrance is so luxurious, and there are words on it." The words of the Golden Sky realm from 1,000 years ago were no different from the words of today. Everyone saw the words clearly. It was Paradise of Peach Blossoms. A great thief actually had such an elegant name, as if it was the residence of an immortal cultivator. It was funny. "There are no traps or formations here. We can continue." The silver-masked man and the vice city, lord of Peach Blossom City, made their judgment. These 2 were experts in mechanisms and traps. And, while everyone was still walking, Ling Xiao suddenly stopped, because he noticed that there was something wrong with the signboard. Rumble. Suddenly, for some reason, the entire secret chamber shook a few times. Kid, what are you doing? Right at this moment, someone noticed that Ling Xiao had flown up into the sky and was fiddling with the words Paradise of Peach Blossoms. That rumbling sound just now, was it you who made it? The silver-masked man had an ugly expression. The rest of the people were unhappy with Ling Xiao's actions as well. If he triggered some kind of trap, it would be troublesome. Bullshit! Didn't you say there are no traps here? Ling Xiao looked at the silver-masked man with disdain and said, I heard you're an expert in mechanisms. Why don't you show me, is this trap good or bad? Why would he be afraid of the silver-masked man? He was now a mid-4th divine core warrior, and it wouldn't take him much effort to kill the silver-masked man. But he didn't want to reveal his true strength just yet. Actually, only 3 of the words were carved on the signboard, and the last one was a mechanism button. With just a light press, it would sink in. Traps and mechanisms were just basic formations, and Ling Xiao was also an expert in them. He was almost certain that this trap had to be activated. If he didn't, he might have to come out again after entering, and he wouldn't be able to get any treasures. This was the real reason why he decided to attack. But no one knew about this, and that was why they blamed him. He was too lazy to care about it. Humph! The silver-masked man coldly harumphed. Then he flew up into the sky and started studying the mechanism. But too bad, it seemed like the mechanism was a one-time use item. Once he pressed it, he couldn't press it again. After studying it for a long time, he still couldn't find anything. The same was true for the Vice City, Lord of Peach Blossom City. Kid, don't touch these things in the future. Who knows if there are any hidden dangers behind these mechanisms? The silver-masked man looked at Ling Xiao and said with a cold expression. He was strong, and he was an expert in mechanisms and traps. Perhaps this was the reason why he dared to come here and search for the Peach Blossom City's treasures. Chapter 38-32. How do you know that this mechanism isn't the key to opening the treasure? Ling Xiao mocked. To think that you're a mechanism expert. You can't even differentiate between beneficial and harmful mechanisms. You're courting death. The chief of the Purple Blood Bandits was furious and wanted to attack Ling Xiao. However, he was stopped by Mu Feifei. He's right. If we didn't discover such a mechanism, it's very likely that it's not a dangerous mechanism. Otherwise, it would have been set up in a place that's easier to trigger. Mu Feifei explained. On one hand, she was protecting Ling Xiao. On the other hand, she really had such thoughts. Wouldn't it be ridiculous if a harmful mechanism was set up so secretly that no one else could see it? Normally, if you were not careful, you would definitely trigger a dangerous mechanism and trigger it. One-eyed forget it. Finding the treasure is more important. The silver-masked man gave Ling Xiao a deep look, although he was very dissatisfied that Ling Xiao dared to contradict him. However, he had to admit that Ling Xiao's words made sense. Everyone continued forward. Along the way, they encountered many mechanisms. The silver-masked man and the deputy city, Lord of Peach Blossom City, resolved them all. However, Ling Xiao discovered that these 2 people's skills were still limited. The thief god's mechanism skills could be said to be top-notch. The most troublesome thing was that many of the mechanisms in the depths were actually set up by a combination of mechanisms and formations. Even if the silver-masked man and the deputy city, Lord of Peach Blossom City, cracked the mechanisms, they wouldn't be able to crack the formations. Every time she couldn't decide, Mu Feifei would ask for Ling Xiao's opinion. Ling Xiao wasn't stingy either. He told everyone what he saw and discovered in a vague way to remind everyone. However, Mu Feifei's actions made the deputy city, Lord of Peach Blossom City, uncomfortable. Among the team, he was the best at mechanism skills. Mu Feifei didn't ask him, but asked Ling Xiao. This made him feel a strong dislike for Ling Xiao. After walking for a while, they arrived at the place where the mechanisms and formations were combined. The silver-masked man noticed the mechanism and secretly reminded the water bandits. However, he didn't tell the people of Peach Blossom City. The two sides were competitors to begin with, so it was normal that they didn't say anything. On the other side, the Deputy City Lord of Peach Blossom City also noticed the mechanism and secretly reminded everyone. Only Ling Xiao was left out. Ling Xiao was amused by this. Fei Fei, inform everyone in Peach Blossom City that the way to break this mechanism is to use all of our Jinyuan to defend ourselves. As long as we are at least at the third divine core realm, we will be able to defend ourselves. But remember, you must walk slowly. Don't waste your Jinyuan, not even a little bit. Ling Xiao secretly warned Mu Feifei. Mu Feifei secretly transmitted this matter to everyone in Peach Blossom City. As for whether these people would listen or not, it was unknown. At this moment, the group arrived at a passageway made of stone bricks. Suddenly, the mechanism was activated. The mechanism here was actually triggered by the temperature of the human body. As long as something with temperature passed through here, it would be attacked by the mechanism immediately. Suddenly, many small holes appeared in the wall. Then, numerous arrows shot out from the holes. An arrow like this was equivalent to a full force attack from a peak second heavenly core warrior. As long as a warrior at the third level of the divine core realm or above defended with all his strength, he wouldn't be seriously injured. This was something that Ling Xiao had reminded him of before. Let's go. The pirates moved quickly, trying to dodge the arrows with their movement skills. Many people in Peach Blossom City saw this and they followed suit. But in the end, these people were targeted by the arrows and their injuries were only light. Some of them had their heads pierced by the arrows, turning them into porcupines on the spot. It was hard for a divine core warrior to die, but it seemed like those arrows contained a frightening poison. It was a poison that specifically targeted the inner core. Once a person was shot too many times, his inner core would rot and he would die on the spot. Within Peach Blossom City, there were also some people who were circulating their Zhenyuan like Ling Xiao and Mu Feifei. All of these people had safely passed through the mechanism. When they arrived at the opposite side of the mechanism, they turned around and saw a few more dead men, and they all died in a miserable manner. It wasn't easy for a divine core warrior to cultivate, and it wasn't worth it for them to die just like that. I told you what to do. Why didn't you listen? Mu Feifei was slightly annoyed. It wasn't a big deal that some of the pirates had died. As for Peach Blossom City, a few people had died as well. All of them were idiots who didn't listen to her advice. The warriors in Peach Blossom City lowered their heads and didn't say anything. They knew they were in the wrong, and they had no reason to refute. Ling Xiao naturally wouldn't be as angry as Mu Feifei. He had done his best. If those people wanted to die, he wouldn't stop them. Miss Feifei, be careful of the ground in front of you. It looks hard, but it's actually hollow. It's arranged in the same way as the Big Dipper Formation. Follow me. Ling Xiao was too lazy to pay attention to those guys who didn't know what was good for them. He only wanted to protect his savior, Mu Feifei. Before Ling Xiao could finish his words, suddenly, a Peach Blossom City warrior let out a miserable shriek. His feet sank into the void, and he fell into a bottomless abyss. This was obviously an alternate dimension formed by a formation. Once someone fell into it, they would never be able to come out. They could only die of old age inside, which was even more miserable than dying directly. Damn it! Mu Feifei felt helpless. Although she was the leader of these people, her authority came from her father, the city, Lord of Peach Blossom City, not her. So sometimes talking really didn't work. I don't believe that I can fall after flying. Another cultivator from Peach Blossom City rushed out recklessly. He soared into the air, trying to cross this strange area. However, a moment later, he was actually sucked into that alternate dimension. That thing was like a black hole. As long as you appeared directly above it, you would definitely not be able to escape. The only way was to accurately walk out of the Big Dipper Formation's path of survival. Those who want to die, do as you please. The rest of you follow behind. Mu Feifei's heart turned cold. She didn't want to care about those who were courting death. Let's go. Ling Xiao walked towards that area. He didn't walk fast. Mu Feifei followed, closely behind, and the others were obviously hesitant. They all waited there without moving, until Ling Xiao and Mu Feifei had already reached the opposite side. Only then did these people know that Ling Xiao's judgment was extremely accurate. They tried to follow the path Ling Xiao had taken, but at this moment, some of them didn't remember accurately. As a result, whether it was the water bandits or the people of Peach Blossom City, they were all injured. Several more people died. At this moment, everyone was full of admiration for Ling Xiao. They all felt that although this young man's strength wasn't very good, his comprehension of formations and mechanisms was higher than anyone else. Young man, join us. After this matter is done, we can give you a quarter of the treasures we obtain. Silver Mask said to Ling Xiao after careful consideration. He no longer had the arrogant and fierce look from before. There's no need. I'm just repaying a debt of gratitude. Ling Xiao shook his head and continued walking forward. Chapter 38-33. Although the Silver Mask was unhappy that Ling Xiao was unwilling to cooperate with him, but at this time he didn't dare to turn hostile, because he needed Ling Xiao. Seeing Ling Xiao move forward, neither side dared to neglect him. They continued to move forward. They encountered several more traps ahead, but because of Ling Xiao's existence, except for a few idiots, they all passed safely. The loss was much smaller than before. Finally, after passing through numerous obstacles, they arrived at a large hall. Ling Xiao looked around. There were no signs of traps or formations here. He immediately breathed a sigh of relief. The Silver Mask and the Deputy City, Lord of Peach Blossom City, also asked everyone to rest. The layers of traps from before had caused them to suffer all kinds of torture. Now, they naturally had to take a break. Ah! Suddenly, someone screamed, ruining the peace and tranquility. Ling Xiao opened his Tai Chi eye and was shocked. This person suddenly went crazy and slashed at his companions. 2 people had been injured by him. Everyone be careful. There's trouble. Just now, they thought that everything was fine and were about to rest. But now, this strange situation suddenly appeared, which really made them anxious. Insects! Ling Xiao shouted, "Be careful of insects!" The Tai Chi eye caught the key of the problem. In this place, which was similar to the main hall, there was a small flea-like insect. Being bitten by this insect would immediately cause hallucinations. Heart-devouring insect. Damn, why are there heart-devouring insects in this place? The Silver Mask also noticed the trouble and exclaimed, "Everyone, be careful not to be bitten by the insects." However, both Ling Xiao and the Silver Mask discovered this a little late. Many people were bitten by the insects and began to go crazy. Collect! Ling Xiao gently touched the Dong Sheng Emperor Ring and collected the heart-devouring insects. The Dong Sheng Emperor Ring had a special place to raise insects. This heart-devouring insect was a rare good thing. It could be refined into a heart-devouring insect or directly used to attack the enemy. Think about it. If this thing was put into the Z Mansion army, what would happen? Ling Xiao was not willing to do such a cruel thing. But if someone wanted to stop him from saving Ziqinya, then he would be sorry. I'll keep this heart-devouring bug as a trump card. After collecting the heart-devouring worms, the rest of the people would not be bitten by the worms. But those crazy people were still wantonly attacking the people around them. Kill them! The silver-masked man snorted coldly and personally killed all the water bandits and Peach Blossom City's crazed people. You, aren't you being too ruthless? Mu Feifei couldn't bear to say that. Soft-hearted. Let's go. Silver Mask knew that after passing through this hall, they would most likely arrive at the location of the treasure. Therefore, he didn't want to stay. Who knew if there would be other bugs or something like that appearing here? The people of Peach Blossom City were not willing to be left behind, so they all followed. At this time, there were only about 30 people left on both sides. There were less than 10 water bandits and only 20 or so people from Peach Blossom City. Those bugs were truly terrifying. After walking out of the main hall for about 100 meters, the crowd furrowed their brows once again, because this time what they saw was a densely packed group of snakes. There were more than a few tens of thousands of them. Furthermore, these snakes were all divine core demon beasts, although they were only at the first divine core realm. There were so many of them that no one dared to enter. When the crowd saw this, their expressions changed dramatically. However, what shocked them the most was that behind the group of snakes, there was a door that had just been opened. It was obvious that the door had just been opened because there was dust that had just fallen to the side. The portal was glowing brightly. This is... The silver-masked man looked at Ling Xiao with a surprised expression. In an instant, he realized that the door was opened because of Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao, you've really done us a great service. If it wasn't for you, we would have had to return to the outside and open this door. I wonder how many people would have died on the way here. Mu Feifei also noticed what Ling Xiao had done, and she couldn't help but exclaim in surprise. Ling Xiao just nodded his head, lightly. To be honest, he was just trying his luck. He wasn't sure before this. He didn't expect that the mechanism would really work. So what if you open the portal? There are so many poisonous snakes. How are we going to get through? Someone coldly harumphed. Sorry, we'll be leaving first. The silver-masked man sneered. Then he unleashed a poisonous mist and beckoned all the bandits to enter. This poisonous mist had the same aura as the poisonous snakes. They were able to safely enter the group of snakes, and they weren't hurt at all. Let's go as well. Ling Xiao grabbed Mu Feifei's hand and suddenly walked into the group of snakes. The moment he entered the group, he transformed into his hell Hydra beast soul. In an instant, all the poisonous snakes around him moved away. They were all trembling with fear. Ling Xiao had actually arrived at the portal earlier than the silver-masked man and the rest of the Peach Blossom City bandits. Without even thinking about it, he jumped into the tomb. Since he had a chance to get the treasure, he wouldn't just give it away. At the same time, the 4 men who were waiting on the iron-armored ship had also entered the tomb. With the people in front of them leading the way, they basically didn't encounter any danger. The reason why they wanted to enter was because they were worried that some treasures would be used on the spot. If that happened, the gains wouldn't make up for the losses. Damn it, that kid went in first. Let's go too. The deputy city, lord of Peach Blossom City's eyes shot out a vicious light. He had always wanted to replace the position of the Mu family's patriarch, and he had even contacted a group of people who were willing to be loyal to him, who knew that Ling Xiao would actually save the Mu family's patriarch, making his efforts go to waste. This time, he definitely couldn't fall behind in the matter of the treasure, although he didn't have the silver-masked man's poisonous mist, nor did he have Ling Xiao's beast soul transformation. But this guy actually took out a mechanical beast and let a few experts who were loyal to him enter it. No matter how the poisonous snakes attacked, although the mechanical beast was constantly injured, it still sent them to the portal. They only entered a moment later than the bandits. At this point, 7 people from the bandits' side had entered, while 10 people from the Peach Blossom City's side had entered except for Mu Feifei and Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao was the first to enter the portal, and naturally he was the first to obtain a lot of benefits. Inside the portal was another unique world. Through the Tai Chi eye, he could sense that this space was connected by 3 wormholes. They formed 3 separate small worlds. He was currently in the first small world. Miss Feifei, I'll have to trouble you to hide for now. Ling Xiao placed Mu Feifei into the Dongsheng Emperor Ring. He didn't care if she agreed or not, because the journey ahead was going to be even more dangerous, and bringing Mu Feifei with him would definitely bring him endless troubles. Furthermore, he was going to take those treasures that were useful to him, and he didn't want Mu Fei Fei to see them. He didn't want to cause any unnecessary conflicts. There were 4 treasures in the first small world. The first item was actually a 9th level divine core demon core, and it was a Vajra ape demon core that Ling Xiao could use. Chapter 38-34. Without any hesitation, Ling Xiao put away the King Kong ape's crystal core. The second item was a pill. Even with his knowledge, he had no idea what it was. He could only ask a Yuan venerable for help. This is a bone refining pill, and its quality is excellent. Hurry up and eat it. It will greatly improve the strength of your body. If you use it with the black tortoise divine body, the effect will be even better. Ling Xiao quickly shoved the pill into his mouth. It was tasteless, but it melted in his mouth. Moments later, he could feel a fiery energy filling every single cell in his body. He circulated the black tortoise divine body. Moments later, he could feel his black tortoise divine body becoming stronger. It was now equivalent to a 5th order Emperor realm defensive martial skill. With this level of defense, no warriors below the 4th order divine core realm would be able to hurt him. Even if it was a 5th level divine core warrior, the damage they could inflict on him would be greatly reduced. If he used it with the King Kong ape's indestructible body, he would be even stronger. If he encountered Yujin again, he wouldn't be in such a miserable state. Suddenly, he heard footsteps coming from outside. Ling Xiao quickly took the remaining 2 items. The remaining 2 items were a fine heavenly king weapon, the profound theory bow, and a nurturing pill. The nurturing pill was enough for Ling Xiao to break through to the late 4th order divine core realm. But he didn't have time to eat it, because the bandits and the men from Peach Blossom City had arrived. "Kid, hurry up and take out what you got, or else I'll kill you." The chief of the Purple Blood Stronghold, One-Eyed, shouted, "What a joke! Do you think I'll give you what I already ate?" Ling Xiao said with disdain, "Then let's kill this kid and take out what's in his stomach." The Vice City Lord sneered, "Hey, buddy, I seem to have helped you a lot. Why are you biting the hand that feeds you?" Ling Xiao didn't have a good impression of this Vice City Lord. Hearing what he said, a killing intent emerged in his heart. If you didn't take away those treasures, we would have let you live. But now just wait for your death." The Vice City Lord said coldly, "Can you kill me?" Ling Xiao sneered and headed straight for the wormhole. He had already collected all the treasures in the first small world. Next was the treasure of the second small world. Chase after him. We can't let him snatch any more treasures. The water bandits and the people of Peach Blossom City actually reached an agreement and chased after Ling Xiao together. At this moment, the 4th wave of people finally arrived. The 4 forces appeared in the second small world at the same time. In the second small world, there were still 4 treasures. It was about the same quality as the items in the first small world. Just like before, there were 2 types of pills, a weapon, and a demonic beast core. The weapon was very strange. It was a glove, but it was a common grade, Heavenly King artifact. It was not even as good as the profound theory bow from before. However, Ling Xiao noticed that whether it was the Silver Mask, the Vice City Lord of Peach Blossom City, or the people in the 4th wave, their eyes were all fixed on it. "Looks like there's something strange about this glove. I have to get my hands on it." Ling Xiao thought to himself, just as he had guessed, the glove was called the 1,000 Trickery Hands. Although it was only a common grade Heavenly King artifact, it contained a special treasure. However, because it contained a special kind of treasure, it could transform true Yuan into all kinds of hidden weapons and mechanisms. For example, hooks, arrows, poison needles, and many others. It could be transformed at will, and it was very mysterious. Furthermore, it didn't take up too much space. Even if one wore the 1,000 Trickery Hands, they could still wield other weapons. Therefore, in the eyes of those who knew how to use it, the 1,000 trickery hands was much better than many premium-grade Heavenly King artifacts. As for the 2 pills, they were still the bone-refining pill and the cultivating pill. After eating one, the second pill wouldn't have the same effect. Therefore, Ling Xiao decided to give up. There were too many opponents, and it was almost impossible for him to take all of them down. Therefore, he had no choice but to go for the glove and the demonic beast core. The demonic beast core was a 9th rank divine core Hydra beast core, and it could help Ling Xiao improve his 3rd rank divine core Hydra beast soul. He had to get his hands on it. White-robed thief, you're here too. When the Vice City Lord of Peach Blossom City saw the leader of the 4th group, he couldn't help but furrow his brows. The appearance of this guy wasn't a good thing. This guy was very strong, even stronger than the Vice City Lord's hidden strength. In order to keep a low profile, the Vice City Lord had broken through to the early 5th rank divine core realm. However, he had purposely pretended to be a peak 4th rank divine core warrior. He didn't want anyone to notice him. But the problem was, even so, he was still no match for the white-robed thief. A helpless expression emerged in the silver-masked man's eyes. "Let's make a deal," the white-robed thief suddenly said. Although he was very strong, if the bandits of the Purple Blood Stronghold and the men of Peach Blossom City joined forces to fight him, he wouldn't be able to handle it. "What's the deal?" the 2 men asked. "I'll take 40% of the treasures we find later, and both of you will take 30% each," the white-robed thief said with an indifferent tone. He was the strongest here, so of course he would take the most. "I have no problem with that." The Vice City Lord nodded his head. He didn't want to offend this white-robed thief either. "I have no problem with that." The silver-masked man replied. They had directly ignored Ling Xiao, who represented the 4th power. It was as if Ling Xiao didn't exist. "Humph, I'll build a good relationship with you first. Then I'll take you down one by one. None of you will be able to survive." The white-robed thief wouldn't give up his target so easily. The reason why he gave up his target was because he didn't want the other 2 powers to join forces. "All right, let's start cracking the mechanisms." Since the white-robed thief dared to come here, he was naturally an expert in mechanisms. He was much stronger than the silver-masked man and the Vice City Lord. With the 3 men working together, the mechanisms were quickly cracked. Take it. Right when the mechanisms were cracked, the 3 5th rank divine core warriors unleashed their frightening auras. They wanted to prevent the others from taking what they wanted. The white-robed thief leapt towards the 1,000 trickery hand. The silver-masked man also leapt towards the 1,000 trickery hand. The Vice City Lord felt his strength was slightly weaker, so he chose the cultivating pill. He wanted to increase his cultivation as soon as possible, so he could surpass the Mu family's clan chief. The rest of the men had their own targets as well. However, the only ones who could really interfere with Ling Xiao were the chief of the Purple Blood Stronghold, the Peach Blossom City's General Tao, and that charming girl. Ling Xiao followed his own plan and leapt towards the demon beast core first. Not many men were interested in this demon beast core. Perhaps it was because there weren't any beast souls here. Therefore, Ling Xiao didn't face any resistance. Turning into a blood-red lightning bolt, it instantly collected the Hell 9-headed snake's crystal core. In the next moment, he aimed at the 1,000 trickery hand. Although he didn't know what it was, with his Tai Chi eye he would soon find out. Since it was something 2 5th level divine core warriors were fighting over, it was definitely not some ordinary item. He couldn't let it fall into the hands of the white-robe thief or the silver-masked man. Chapter 38-35. Only the white-robed thief and the silver-masked man were trying to steal the 1,000 trickery palms. While they were fighting, Ling Xiao suddenly dashed over. He grabbed the 1,000 trickery palms and shoved them into his storage ring. "Little thief, put it down now." The silver-masked man was fuming with anger. While he was locked in battle with a white-clothed thief god, Ling Shao, this little brat, had taken advantage of the situation. How could he not be angry? With a furious roar, he charged towards Ling Shao. The white-robed thief had a murderous expression as well. At the same time, he charged towards Ling Shao. He could give up everything else, but the 1,000 trickery palms he had to get it. Two idiots! Do you really think you have the final say in this place? Ling Shao let out a disdainful sneer. Then he turned into a blood-red lightning bolt. He flew straight towards the third small world. After getting the 1,000 trickery palms and the underworld Hydra's demon core, he was satisfied. He had no idea what was in the third small world. I'm sure it'll surprise everyone. Stop right there, or I'll turn you into ashes. Little thief, you should know that treasuring a jade ring will arouse the envy of others, right? If you dare run away with it, you'll lose your life. The silver-masked man and the white-robed thief didn't care about anything else. They immediately chased after Jiang Qin. Right at this moment, the other two items had already found their owners. The cultivating pill was in the hands of the Vice City, Lord of Peach Blossom City. The bone refining pill was in the hands of the charming woman. No one had expected that the charming girl was actually an early 5th divine core warrior. Her strength was no weaker than the Vice City, Lord of Peach Blossom City. Let's go. The wormhole leading to the third small world was much longer than expected, and it was filled with danger. The 3 groups of people chasing after him were all stopped, and Ling Shao was the only one who managed to escape with his Tai Chi eye. With that, he easily entered the third small world. Within the third small world, there was a dead body. The dead body was sitting on a throne, and it looked alive. To be honest, when Ling Shao first entered the small world, he thought it was a living person. Only when he confirmed with his Tai Chi eye that it was a perfectly preserved corpse did he finally let out a sigh of relief. There's a strange treasure in his stomach that can prevent his corpse from decaying. Interesting. Through the Tai Chi eye, Ling Shao also learned the reason why the corpse was so fresh. The god of thieves is indeed the god of thieves. He can even get his hands on such a good treasure. There was no doubt that the corpse in the last small world belonged to the thief god. Ling Shao looked around and found that there were layers upon layers of traps and formations around the thief god's throne. It was impossible for ordinary people to get close to it. Even if the thief god was dead, he still wanted to protect his body. What was he trying to do? Ling Shao suddenly thought of a bold guess. However, he also felt that it was a little ridiculous. According to common sense, those who died, especially those who were powerful, would want to be revived. The reason why he kept his body from decaying was so that he could be revived one day. However, those things were basically just rumors. He had never heard of anyone who could do this. Most likely, the thief god only had that thought in mind, and it was unlikely that he would succeed. Thinking of this, he stopped looking at the corpse and looked around it. In front of the throne was a table. There were also 4 items on the table. The first item was actually a pair of windfire wheels. According to the ancient legends, the windfire wheels were a magical treasure that combined flight, defense, and attack. However, it seemed like this windfire wheel was just a replica. Its quality was actually at the level of a spiritual grade heavenly emperor weapon. It was the same as the Blood Sovereign sword. Disciple, you must get the windfire wheels. It's a good item for you at this stage. Yuan Venerate suddenly said, Master, you know about this item too? Ling Shao asked curiously. Master has passed by here before, so of course you've heard about the windfire wheels. To be precise, this item is a defensive magical treasure. It can release the power of wind and fire to form a wind-fire boundary to defend against damage. If it's in your hands, even a 7th-tier divine core warrior won't be able to kill you easily. It's that terrifying. Yuan Venerate replied. Apart from its defensive effect isn't bad either. It's just that it's not a direct attack, but a negative effect on the enemy. Wind can cause chaos. Fire can cause coma. When wind and fire combine, it's very easy for the enemy to fall into a state of confusion or coma. This explains why there were so many people who fell into such a state when Thief God passed by in the past. Apart from that, it also has a powerful auxiliary effect. It can absorb a large amount of the power of wind and fire in the air, increasing your cultivation speed and tempering your body at all times. Of course, its flying effect is even more outstanding. Its speed is increased to the extreme, and it's even faster than your blood lightning. It's almost at the level of the Earth vertical golden light technique, and it doesn't consume too much true yuan. This is simply a divine weapon. Ling Zhao's heart warmed when he heard this. Master, is there a way to break the mechanisms and formations here? Nonsense. Who do you think your master is? Thief God's little tricks can be solved in a matter of minutes. Yuan Venerate laughed. Then I'll have to trouble Master. After all, Ling Xiao was still inexperienced. He had never seen Thief God's mechanisms and formations before. Therefore, even if he could break them, it would take him a lot of time. However, what he lacked the most now was time, and he couldn't afford to waste it. After all, no one knew when the other three factions would rush in. While the Yuan Venerate was breaking the mechanisms and formations, Ling Xiao continued to look at the table. Beside the firestorm wheels was a jade tablet. Plum Blossom Acupoint Technique. Ling Xiao could confirm through his Taiji eye that the jade tablet contained the essence of the Plum Blossom Acupoint Technique. Acupoint technique was a profound skill. Ling Xiao had never learned it before. In the few continents that he had experienced, there was basically no one who knew how to use acupoint techniques. This was the first time he had seen a martial technique that specialized in cultivating acupoint techniques. He had the Taiji eye, and coupled with the Plum Blossom Acupoint technique, he could really give many people a headache. Furthermore, the Plum Blossom Acupoint technique was a growth-type martial technique that could be developed to a high-level 9th level emperor. How valiant! Then the other jade token should be the Thief God's other famous skill, the falling plum clear shadow steps. Ling Xiao confirmed his guess through his Taiji eye. Then, Ling Xiao looked at the last item. This item was wrapped in a box. His Taiji eye couldn't see through it. He didn't know what kind of treasure it was. Master, how much longer do we need? Ling Xiao couldn't wait any longer. One day. The Yuan Venerate replied. So long. Ling Xiao froze for a moment. He was a little worried. You don't have to be so worried. The mechanisms and formations in the wormhole are enough to give those people a hard time. They won't be able to enter the third small world without at least 2 days. The Yuan Venerate's words made Ling Xiao heave a sigh of relief. He planned to start cultivating. He still hadn't used the Origin nurturing pill and the 2 demon beast cores he had obtained earlier. He reckoned that after using them, his cultivation would definitely break through to the late 4th level of the divine core realm, or even the perfect realm. This way, he would definitely kill Yuzhen when he left Peach Blossom Bay. Chapter 38-36. After consuming the Origin fostering pill, he swallowed the King Kong Divine Apes Demon Core and the 9-headed Hell Snakes Demon Core. Ling Xiao began his one-day cultivation. After all, he had the help of a Yuan Venerate to break the traps and formations. He didn't want to waste this precious time. Time passed very quickly during cultivation. At the same time, the group of people in the wormhole were still trying their best to break through one trap after another. The White Thief, the Silver Mask, and the Deputy City, Lord of Peach Blossom City, all knew how to break through traps and mechanisms. They also knew a little about formations. However, even when the 3 of them worked together, they still couldn't compare to Ling Zhao's Tai Chi Eye. Just as the Yuan Venerate had expected, they would spend at least 2 to 3 days in the wormhole. While they were wasting their time, Ling Xiao was still cultivating. The Origin Fostering Pill was a pill with excellent effects. Moreover, its quality was different. The pill in Ling Xiao's hand was extremely effective for divine core warriors. It could help them break through in their cultivation. If it was someone else, they would at least break through to the next realm. However, after Ling Xiao used it, he only broke through to the late 4th level divine core realm from mid 4th level divine core realm. It couldn't be helped. Every time he broke through to the next realm, he would gain a lot more improvement than others. Therefore, the pill's effect on him was reduced. However, he wasn't dissatisfied with this. Breaking through to the late 4th level divine core realm was already pretty good. After that, the 9-headed hell snake beast soul broke through to the 9th level divine core realm, and it provided Ling Xiao with a much greater boost in combat strength. Furthermore, the power of these two special abilities had increased as well. Of course, the most noteworthy thing was the improvement of the King Kong Divine Ape Beast Soul. The King Kong Divine Ape Beast Soul had fallen behind too much, and it was only at the Divine Vein realm. Therefore, Ling Xiao hadn't used it for a long time. But this time, the King Kong Divine Ape had broken through to the 9th level Divine Core realm. The effect of the King Kong Divine Body skill had increased tremendously. The most amazing thing was that the second skill had been awakened. It was also a passive defensive skill, Secret Technique Immunity. Secret Technique Immunity meant that it could defend against all secret techniques. Of course, there was a limit to this defensive skill. Just like the King Kong Divine Body, it could only defend against 5th level Emperor rank secret techniques and below. Indestructible Vajra could resist martial techniques, while secret techniques could resist secret techniques. Ling Xiao could be said to be a defensive expert now. At the very least, when he was in his Vajra ape state, there were very few people who could hurt him. Not only did the 2 demonic beast cores increase the grade of his beast soul, but the remaining energy also flowed into his cultivation sea. This allowed his cultivation sea energy to increase by 50% on the basis of the late stage of the 4th layer. Success! Suddenly, the voice of a Yuan Venerate was heard. Ling Xiao sensed that the formation and mechanism had indeed been broken. He was just about to go and take the 4 treasures. All of a sudden, the corpse opened its eyes. A cold voice came from the corpse's mouth. If you are not a fated person, you are not allowed to take anything away. Otherwise, you will die without a burial place. Oh, you actually managed to preserve some of your divine sense. Ling Xiao smiled and said coldly, "Since you still have some divine sense, then listen to me. Be a good girl and let me take everything, then tell me the way out. I can guarantee that I won't destroy your body. Otherwise, I will burn your body with fire and make you unable to reincarnate for all eternity. Aren't you afraid of me? I am the thief god." The voice had obviously lost some of its confidence. "Thief god? In my eyes, you are just a thief." "What bullshit, thief god? Most of your treasures were stolen from other people, right? I heard that the plum blossom acupuncture technique and the falling plum shadow steps were also stolen from other people's graves. In that case, what right do you have to look for the fated person? Don't tell me you intend to pass these to another thief? Let him inherit your mantle? Stop dreaming." Ling Xiao didn't give the thief god any face. How could he be afraid of a corpse that only had a remnant consciousness left? After saying that, he walked straight over and put the 4 treasures into his storage ring. "All right, tell me the way out." Ling Xiao said coldly. "Little brother, how about we discuss this?" The thief god suddenly said. "Discuss what?" Ling Xiao asked. "You can take the firestorm wheels and the last treasure, but can you pass the plum blossom acupuncture technique and the falling plum shadow steps to that white-clothed boy?" The thief god said. "Why should I do that?" Ling Xiao asked again. "The firestorm wheels are a treasure that I used before. If you want to get it, you have to make it recognize you as its master first." Without my permission, you can't do it, the thief god reminded him. In other words, as long as I agree to your conditions, you can help me make it recognize me as its master? Ling Xiao said with a smile. That's right. Isn't that a good condition? The thief god said with a bewitching voice. Hee hee, I don't believe in such things. Anyway, I can't get out now. I want to see if this thing really can't belong to me, completely. Ling Xiao sneered. Then he sat down cross-legged and began to subdue the firestorm wheels. The full name of the firestorm wheels should be the tricolored firestorm wheels. Interestingly, after the blood-colored thunder god's lightning was integrated into the firestorm wheels, there would be a change. Red lightning, green wind, and white flames. They formed a complete tricolored firestorm wheel. This was something that the thief god had never done before. In the past, he had stolen this thing from an expert, but he could only create 2 colors of wind and fire. The thief god thought that it was impossible for Ling Xiao to make the firestorm wheels recognize him as its master. However, the result made him so angry that he wanted to vomit blood. Not only did Ling Xiao make the firestorm wheels recognize him as its master, but his divine sense was also forcefully erased. Moreover, the dual-colored firestorm wheels became tricolored firestorm wheels. Its power increased greatly. In just an hour, the tricolored firestorm wheels had completely merged with Ling Xiao. With just a thought, the firestorm wheels would appear around Ling Xiao's body. Except for when flying, they would appear under his feet. The rest of the time, they would appear on both sides. They could be used for defense and attack. How is this possible? The thief god was stunned. He had spent 3 days and 3 nights to make the firestorm wheels recognize him as its master. Moreover, it was only a dual-colored firestorm wheel. What the hell is this young man? It seems like we can only wait. The thief god couldn't deal with Ling Xiao now. The only thing he could rely on was the 3 groups of people that were about to appear in the 3rd small realm. Ling Xiao couldn't be bothered with him and asked the Yuan Venerate to help him find a way out. He started to study the plum blossom acupuncture technique and the falling plum, clear shadow step. The reason he didn't threaten the thief god and force him to tell him the way out was because he wanted to. It wasn't that he didn't want to, but that he couldn't. In fact, he had realized this from the very beginning. Although the physical body was very important to the thief god, it was still not enough. Even if it was really destroyed, the thief god would never let Ling Xiao out. This guy must be plotting something. Ling Xiao really wanted to see what he was scheming. The thief god was very bold. He actually dared to sit there and cultivate. Chapter 38-37. The Plum Blossom Acupoint Palm was a high-grade, 5th-level Emperor Realm martial skill. The Falling Plum Clear Shadow Steps was a high-grade 6th-level Emperor Realm movement skill. It wasn't any weaker than the Blood Devil Seal. From this, one could tell how profound this movement skill was. He decided to start cultivating with the Falling Plum Clear Shadow Steps. He had a lot of offensive skills, but right now it was better for him to accumulate more life-saving skills. When the Falling Plum Clear Shadow Steps was cultivated to perfection, its speed would reach the same level as the Earth Golden Light skill. However, the best part about this movement skill wasn't its speed, it was its combat prowess. During a battle, it looked like plum blossoms were drifting in the air. Every single plum blossom represented the next coordinate. Those who cultivated this movement skill would be able to arrive at any coordinate at any time. It would catch the enemy off guard. Looking at your cultivation, you're only at the 4th level of the Divine Core Realm. It's still too early for you to cultivate a 6th level Emperor Realm martial skill. Let me advise you to leave it there. Thief God said. Ling Xiao didn't pay any attention to him. He had already cultivated a high-grade 6th level Emperor Realm martial skill, so he had experience in it. Therefore, it wasn't impossible for him to cultivate this Falling Plum Clear Shadow Steps. Just as I expected, in order to cultivate this falling plum clear shadow steps, I'll need demon beast cores. They'll also need demon beast cores at the 4th level of the divine core realm or higher, and they can only be speed type or flying type demon beast cores. Ling Xiao murmured to himself. Correct. That's why I said you won't be able to cultivate it. With your strength, it's impossible for you to find 3,000 demon beast cores. That's just a pipe dream. Thief God sneered. Idiot. Ling Xiao threw a disdainful glance at Thief God, but in his mind he was laughing. When he was collecting bloodthirsty demon beast cores, he had already expected this to happen. Therefore, he collected other demon beast cores as well. Sure enough, they came in handy. After searching his storage ring for a while, he found the 3,000 demon beast cores he needed. You're crazy. Am I seeing things? You've already prepared everything? Did you know you were going to come here? Thief God was stunned. Not really, but opportunities are always given to those who are well prepared. I've just made some preparations. With a faint smile on his face, Ling Xiao continued, but we do have 3,000 4th divine core demon cores. But I still don't have any 6th level divine core cores. He suddenly looked at the god of thieves with a half smile on his face. What are you doing? I don't have that. Thief God hurriedly shook his head. Who are you trying to fool? You even have a 9th rank divine core demon core. Why don't you have a 6th rank demon core? Ling Xiao chuckled and said, take it out. It's not like it's anything precious. Think about it. If I learn this falling plum clear shadow steps, after I go out, I can make you famous. No, you lack the martial spirit of the Steel Sect. Thief God shook his head and said, Thief Sect. Lord, Soul. Ling Xiao asked with a smile. It doesn't matter if a cultivator's overall strength increases. The key is to make the cultivator more suitable to be a thief. Thief God replied, take a look at this. Ling Xiao unleashed his Hell Shadow Rabbit Beast Soul. Hell Shadow Rabbit. You actually got the Hell Shadow Rabbit Beast Soul. You're a treasure given to me by the heavens. I thought Bai Yi's martial soul, Flying Shadow, was strong enough. But your martial soul is even more abnormal. Good, very good. Take this. Thief God's sudden change in attitude didn't make Ling Xiao happy. Instead, it made him feel worried. This old man, don't tell me he's up to something again? But he would deal with whatever came his way. Many people had tried to set him up in the past. However, the people who had plotted against him had already gone to the netherworld, while he was still alive and well. Jian Qin caught the 6th level divine core demon beast core, thrown to him by Thief God. It was a flying demon beast core, and it was perfect for cultivating the plum clear shadow steps. The moment Jiang Qin caught the core, he immediately sensed something strange. There was something mixed inside the core. It was some colorless and tasteless poison that could numb a person's soul. Also, there was an extremely violent divine sense. It was hidden very well. Ordinary people would think that it was a remnant divine sense left behind by a demon beast core. But Ling Xiao didn't think so. He sneered. This guy was trying to set him up. He might as well beat him at his own game. But Thief God didn't know that the one thing he wasn't afraid of was poison. A few more hours passed. In total, it had been almost 2 days. Ling Xiao had finally succeeded in cultivating the plum clear shadow steps. Although it was only a small success, it was enough to increase his speed by at least 2-fold compared to before. Of course, the best part was still the unpredictable method of using the plum clear shadow steps. Its effect on increasing one's combat strength was simply incredible. Just as he finished cultivating the plum clear shadow steps, enemies finally appeared in the wormhole. 3 groups of people arrived at the same time. They saw the firestorm wheels floating on both sides of Ling Xiao's body. The thief god said in surprise, "Good boy, he has already obtained the tricolored firestorm wheels. I reckon that the other treasures have also been taken by him." How did this guy crack the formation and mechanism? Don't worry about it. Kill him first, and we can get everything. The city lord of Peach Blossom City roared. The Silver Mask's face was also gloomy. A group of people pounced on Ling Xiao almost at the same time. They wanted to bully him with their numbers and kill Ling Xiao on the spot, although they didn't know Ling Xiao's exact strength. But at this moment, in order to fight for the treasures, they naturally had to attack with all their might. After killing Ling Xiao, how to distribute the treasures was another matter. But right now, they definitely couldn't let Ling Xiao take advantage of them. Definitely not. Facing the sudden attack of the crowd, Ling Xiao's face revealed a hint of contempt and disdain. To be honest, even if he didn't use the tricolored firestorm wheels, he would definitely be able to defeat these people. But that would be too strenuous. He still had to save his strength to deal with the thief god scheme. Whatever scheme the thief god had, he would only have a way to deal with at the moment he revealed it. Otherwise, it would be useless no matter how he thought about it. The firestorm wheels released 3 colors of light: lightning, flame, and gale. They formed a thick barrier in front of Ling Xiao. The group of people attacked, but they were all sent flying. Those who were weaker were killed on the spot. Those who were stronger were dumbfounded. Facing Ling Xiao, who was sitting on the ground and didn't even move, they couldn't do anything. This was simply impossible. Oh no, that kid has already made the firestorm wheels recognize him as their master. This is too fast. The thief god seemed to know quite a bit about the thief god's things. At a glance, he knew that only the firestorm wheels that had recognized him as their master could unleash such terrifying power. Damn it, I came so late. I didn't expect him to do so many things. The silver-masked man's eyes were filled with unwillingness. Chapter 3838. 3 groups of men, dozens of men, and even though they kept attacking, none of them were able to hurt Ling Xiao. Instead, they had even injured a few of their own men. This scene shocked and enraged the men who had just arrived in the 3rd small world. The wind flame wheels, the legendary thief god's scariest magical treasure. If not for this wind flame wheels, the thief god would have been killed by Huang Jindi long ago. I never thought it would fall into the hands of this young man. The silver-masked man's eyes were bloodshot. After entering this secret chamber, what he wanted the most was the wind flame wheels. So, when he saw that it had fallen into Ling Xiao's hands, how could he not be enraged? But something's not right. The wind flame wheels belong to the thief god. How did this young man get them? The white-clothed thief was dumbfounded. He couldn't accept this reality. Why are you attacking me? Suddenly, chaos broke out among the 3 groups of men, and they started fighting among themselves. Some of them felt dizzy, as if they were going to faint at any moment. Not good, move away. Stop attacking. The wind flame wheels can cause chaos and dizziness. Don't get too close to it. The white-clothed thief had studied the thief god thoroughly, and he knew the effects of the wind flame wheels very well. Everyone quickly backed off, and the warriors who were fighting in the chaos were knocked out by the white-clothed thief, preventing them from killing each other. But even so, a few men had died because of the chaos and dizziness. When the 3 groups of men retreated to a spot furthest away from Ling Xiao, they all had ugly expressions on their faces. The wind flame wheels were extremely powerful, and it made them feel fear. But at the same time, they also felt a strong sense of greed. If this thing fell into their hands, their strength would definitely increase by a large margin. They believed that Ling Xiao didn't just have the wind flame wheels. Perhaps all the treasures in this 3rd small world had fallen into Ling Xiao's hands. In order to obtain these treasures, they had to kill Ling Xiao. But in order to kill Ling Xiao, they had to first destroy the wind flame wheel's defense. This was going to be troublesome. 4 5th Heavenly Core Warriors and a few perfect 4th Heavenly Core Warriors. Facing a mere Ling Xiao, they had no way to deal with him. Damn it! This young man is only a 7th Heavenly Core warrior. How can he be so strong? One-Eyed couldn't help but ask, "Are you an idiot? How can he only be at the 7th level of the Divine Vein Realm?" It was obvious that he had been hiding his strength. "I think his cultivation is at the late 4th Divine Core Realm." The martial spirit of the white-robed thief god, Flying Shadow, could not only hide his tracks, but also had a pair of terrifying eyes that could see through the enemy's cultivation. Late 4th Divine Core Realm. No wonder this kid's expression didn't change in the face of our threats. I think he came to Peach Blossom Bay in the first place for the treasure. I'm not in trouble at all. Peach Blossom City's Vice City Lord said fiercely. "Thief God, you old thing, it's time for you to say something. Everyone is here." Ling Xiao suddenly put away his firestorm wheels and looked at the fresh corpse behind him. Everyone was surprised to see Ling Xiao put away the firestorm wheels. The chief of the Purple Bloodwater stronghold, One-Eyed, reacted the fastest because he was stupid and would not think too much. Everyone was worried that Ling Xiao was up to something, but he didn't think too much about it. When he saw Ling Xiao put away his firestorm wheels, he immediately dashed forward. He wanted to capture Ling Xiao. Falling plum blossom steps. Ling Xiao lightly chanted, then he suddenly appeared at another location, as if he had just teleported. In the sky, there were even illusory plum blossoms falling down from the sky. Die. One-Eye's attack had given Ling Xiao the chance to kill the chicken to warn the monkey. Without hesitation, he thrust his sword forward. Bloodlight Clone Slash. 3 sword beams instantly sliced One-Eye's body into a few pieces, causing them to fall onto the ground. Even his inner core was pierced through. One-Eyed was killed on the spot. After killing One-Eyed with a single strike, Ling Xiao just casually smiled and said, "Do you really think I'm not afraid of you because I have the firestorm wheels? Let me tell you the truth. If you stay where you are and don't move, you might still have a chance to live. Or else, if you annoy me, I'll kill all of you." His cultivation had reached the late 4th Heavenly Core Realm, and with the falling plum blossom steps, he could even kill a peak 5th Heavenly Core warrior with ease. But none of the people here had such a cultivation base. Therefore, he could totally ignore their threats. Ling Xiao's formidable strength had made these people tremble with fear. However, right at this moment, a sudden change occurred. The thief god's corpse suddenly stood up, and he started forming hand seals. Ling Xiao let out a miserable shriek as he held his head in his hands. "Ha ha ha! Kid, I've been planning this for 1,000 years, waiting for a suitable body to be delivered to me. You're perfect for it. A shadow rabbit bee soul and such a strong defense. It's like you're tailor-made for me." The thief god's corpse came back to life. Then he threw his head back and let out a hearty laugh. Everyone's expressions changed dramatically. No one expected things to turn out like this. "You're surprised, aren't you? This kid used the demon beast core I gave him, and he even swallowed it. It contained a powerful soul poison and the brutal divine sense that I've spent 1,000 years refining. Soon he'll be controlled by the divine sense, and he'll become my clone." The thief god proudly walked towards Ling Xiao. Then he turned to the white-robed god and said, "Speaking of which, you're my original target. That's why I saved those things for you. But who knew you'd be so stupid that you couldn't even defeat this kid? But since you're here, kneel down and worship me. All of you have to eat my heart-devouring goo. If you don't, you'll die." "Humph, you're just a corpse. How strong can you be? I'm going to kill you." The silver-masked man coldly harumphed. Then he leapt into the air and thrust his palm at the thief god. The thief god sneered, then he waved his hand. The wind flame wheels on Ling Xiao's body flew up and smashed towards the silver-masked man. How could the silver-masked man withstand this attack? He was sent flying away, and he was severely injured. Although this kid hasn't become my clone, he's already under my control. He'll kill whoever I tell him to. Kill that masked man for me." The thief god shouted sternly. As expected, Ling Xiao made his move. The silver-masked man was already seriously injured. Now that he was attacked by Ling Xiao, how could he withstand it? He died on the spot. The faces of the water bandits changed drastically. "We're willing to surrender. We're willing to surrender." On the water bandits' side, with the death of the one-eyed man and the silver-masked man, they had no leader. If they didn't surrender now, only death would await them. The white-robed god and the Peach Blossom City's deputy city lord were still hesitating. They could see that the thief god could only rely on Ling Xiao to attack the enemy. They didn't seem to have any fighting strength. The two of them looked at each other, and suddenly one of them charged towards Ling Xiao, while the other attacked the thief god. The remaining people also blocked Ling Xiao, not allowing Ling Xiao to rescue them. "Humph, since you don't know what's good for you, then all of you can die," the thief god coldly harumphed. Chapter 38-39. Thick smoke billowed out. It was all poison. Everyone fell to the ground and begged for help. But how could the thief god let them go? After all the corpses had turned into liquid, the black smoke reformed into a human form. So that's how it is. You've spent 1,000 years using poisonous insects to reconstruct your body. Even though it's a little disgusting, it's still a good idea. Suddenly, a voice rang out, causing the thief god to jump in fright. Even though his poison was not targeted at Ling Xiao, he knew that Ling Xiao would be his perfect avatar. But Ling Xiao had been poisoned before. How could he speak? But he had clearly seen the smile on Ling Xiao's face. You, what's going on?" The thief god was stunned. "By the way, let me tell you something. Yours truly is immune to all poisons. Poisons do not pose any threat to me. In fact, they are the best nourishment for me." Ling Xiao looked at thief god with a smile and said, "Now that I know your secret, I'm sure you'll be fine. Killing you is as easy as flipping my hand. Let's talk things through. The thief god chuckled. This fella was also the king of changing his expression. His speed was really fast. To change from fear to a smile in the blink of an eye. Interesting. Talk things through? I clearly heard that you wanted to turn me into your avatar. You think that's negotiable?" Ling Xiao laughed coldly. "You can't kill me. If you do, you can forget about ever getting out of here," the thief god said hurriedly. The only thing he could rely on was his body of poison. In order to cultivate this body of poison, he had sealed all of his cultivation within his inner core. And right now, the inner core was in the box on Ling Xiao's body. The reason why he wanted an avatar was to fuse the inner core with the avatar, to create a thief god that was as strong as he was in the past. This body of his was no longer human. It did not have a true dantian. He could not form an inner core either. Therefore, in front of Ling Xiao, he had no fighting strength at all. "Hell Hydra, devour him!" Ling Xiao roared and released the 9-headed hell, snake beast soul. The huge hydra almost filled the entire space of the small world. He opened his mouth and swallowed the thief god whole. To be more precise, he had devoured the thief god's body of poison. This body of poison could allow the second skill, Myriad Snake, to produce a snake king with a body of poison. This made Myriad Snake's attack power as terrifying as mine. "Master, can we go out now?" Ling Xiao asked after killing Thief God. "Let's wait for a while. You can take all the treasures here first. I found it when I was looking for the exit." The Thief God hid all the treasures in the storage ring on his hand. The ones outside were only the best. However, you are the Celestial Emperor of the Celestial Empire. For you, the more treasures, the better. Yuan Venerate replied. Ling Xiao nodded. Not only did he take Thief God's storage ring, but he also took everyone's storage rings. There was basically nothing in those people's storage rings, only a few spirit stones. However, many a little makes a mickle. They had probably all come to search for treasures and wanted to use their storage rings to store treasures. So they didn't put too many things in them. We can go now. Yuan Venerate's voice rang out again as a teleportation array leading outside appeared. This teleportation array had been set up temporarily by Yuan Venerate. However, it also had something to do with the original array formation of the secret room. When they reached the outside, they appeared very close to Peach Blossom City. After going in, only Mu Feifei is left alive. Ling Xiao sighed and let Mu Feifei out. This girl was in the Dongsheng Emperor and knew what had happened outside. She was obviously a little unhappy. Ling Xiao didn't want to say anything more. He took out a storage ring and gave some of the treasures he had obtained to Mu Feifei. This could be considered repaying her kindness. As for what happened after that, he didn't care anymore. His cultivation had broken through, his strength had increased, and he had obtained the thief god's treasures. He planned to continue his journey and head to the Purple Mansion Royal City. I reckon those people are still waiting for me to send myself to my death. However, don't worry. This time, I will definitely give you a big surprise. Ling Xiao turned around and was about to leave. However, Mu Feifei stopped him. This is for you. It's a map that leads outside. There is only one exit. Thank you. Ling Xiao glanced at Mu Feifei gratefully. Then he left. This time, Mu Feifei didn't stop him. She sighed softly as she watched Ling Xiao's back. Actually, this underwater trip had been extremely lucky for Peach Blossom City and the Mu family. The Deputy City, Lords Group, the Water Bandits Group, the White Robe Thief God, and the others had all died. Peach Blossom Bay should be able to return to its former tranquility. However, she couldn't openly announce that this credit belonged to Ling Xiao, which was really depressing. Regardless of what she was thinking, Ling Xiao was already heading in the direction of the exit as fast as he could. With the tricolored windfire wheels, his speed was simply intrepid. In a few minutes, he had left Peach Blossom Bay. However, when he left, he did one more thing, which was to set up a brand new array at the entrance. This would make Peach Blossom Bay even more peaceful. It would prevent him from getting involved in the chaos of the outside world. After doing all this, he headed straight for the Purple Mansion Royal City. Sister Qinya, wait for me. Although he knew that there were many experts in the Purple Mansion Royal City. Even if he could defeat Yuzhen now, facing the three generals, the Purple Mansion Marshal, the Purple Mansion King, and the terrifying Gu Fenghua and Qing Mashue, the chances of winning were too small. But would he not go just like that? Of course not. He, Ling Xiao, had never stopped moving forward because of fear. Those experts in the past had all become stepping stones on his path of growth. No matter how strong they were, he could surpass them in a short period of time. A swordsman was fearless. A martial artist was fearless. If he was afraid, then there was no need to continue moving forward on the path of martial arts. He didn't forget his goal, the great ambition of unifying the profound world, the hope of reuniting with the Moon Lady, the hope of reuniting with his brothers Long Qin and Xiao Jin, the hope of finding his sister Ling Jiaojiao, his friend Xindian, and Cold Plum. All of these were his goals. Therefore, he couldn't stop. He still had a long road ahead of him. Once he stopped, his will would be worn down. The key to achieving these goals was strength. Strength included cultivation, martial skills, magical treasures, and so on. Ling Xiao was crazily moving forward on this path. In terms of martial skills and magical treasures, he was no weaker than Gu Fenghua and Qing Mashue. The only thing he lacked was his cultivation. However, the speed of his cultivation was incredibly fast. It had only been 3 months since he arrived in the Purple Mansion Royal City. From the Divine Vein Realm, he had broken through to the late 4th rank Divine Core Realm. Chapter 3840. You're still alive. Just as Ling Xiao was rushing towards the Purple Palace Kingdom, a figure suddenly appeared in front of him. The voice was cold and filled with ridicule. This man was Yu Zhen, the man who had severely injured Ling Xiao. Seeing Yu Zhen, not only was Ling Xiao not surprised, he even had a disdainful smile on his face. He had been hoping that Yu Zhen would be waiting for him outside. That way, he would be able to exact his revenge. His cultivation base had improved, and he had obtained many treasures. His overall strength had skyrocketed. For Yu Zhen to come looking for him at this moment, he was just asking for a beating. Coincidentally, he needed some external help to break through to the perfect fourth divine core realm. Yu Zhen had come at the right time. That's right, I'm still alive. But too bad, you're going to die soon. Ling Xiao smiled. Then he took out the Blood Sovereign sword. The cold tip of the sword was glowing with a murderous light. The terrifying aura caused Yu Zhen to be startled. Actually, even though it was the Blood Sovereign sword, with Ling Xiao's current strength, he still couldn't unleash its full potential. Even with the innate Fiend God sword soul, Ling Xiao could only fully control a premium Heavenly King weapon. This spirit rank Heavenly King weapon was extremely powerful, but the stronger he was, the more he could fully control the Blood Sovereign sword. Therefore, the aura unleashed by the Blood Sovereign sword today was completely different from before. No wonder Yu Zhen was startled. It seems like your strength has improved again, but you still haven't broken through to the fifth divine core realm. Yu Zhen furrowed his brows. This Ling Xiao was too abnormal. He had only disappeared for a few days, but he had become stronger again. Even Yu Zhen felt threatened by him. But luckily, Jiang Qin hadn't broken through to the point where he could kill him. Of course, this was just what Yu Zhen thought. I haven't broken through yet. I'm just waiting for your help. Ling Xiao said with a smile on his face. Humph, you're still smiling now, but you won't be able to smile later. You managed to escape last time, but this time, don't even think about escaping. Double Dragon, Trapping Talisman. Last time, Ling Xiao broke through the Dragon Trapping Talisman's obstruction and escaped. This infuriated Yu Zhen. Therefore, this time he used 2 Dragon Trapping Talismans. He did not believe that Ling Xiao could still escape. After using the Dragon Trapping Talisman, Yu Zhen's body shimmered with sword light as a pair of sword chi wings appeared on his back. His whole body was wrapped in sword light. There was even green lightning. It seemed that Yu Zhen's sword martial spirit belonged to the thunder sword martial spirit. Not only did it have the characteristics of a sword martial spirit, but it also had the characteristics of lightning. Green lightning, devil, domain sword. With a thrust of the sword light exploded. The terrifying sword chi was infused with the violent green thunder. It was even more powerful than before. One had to know that previously Yu Zhen looked down on Ling Xiao and did not use his full strength. Now that it was unleashed, its might could be said to be domineering. At the end of the day, it was merely a low-grade 4th Order Emperor Realm Martial skill. Even though it was stronger than other low-grade 4th Order Emperor Realm Martial skills, it was still a low-grade 4th Order Emperor Realm Martial skill. But it was still at the same level. The violent lightning wrapped in sword chi locked onto Ling Xiao, wanting to kill Ling Xiao with one strike. What a joke. Is this your attack? It's as slow as a turtle. Can you touch me? Falling plumb clear shadow step. Martial skills and movement techniques could only be improved faster in battle. Therefore, Ling Xiao used the falling plumb clear shadow step to practice this movement technique. Otherwise, with Yu Zhen's attack, it could not hurt him at all. It could not even break his defense. The moment he used the falling plumb clear shadow step, Ling Xiao's figure suddenly disappeared from the spot. When he reappeared, he was already less than 2 meters in front of Yu Zhen. Blood Shadow Kill. Although the power of a low-grade 4th Order Emperor Realm martial skill was not as powerful as Ling Xiao's more high-end martial skills, the execution speed was faster. Ling Xiao did not give Yuzhen a chance to breathe at all. He directly stabbed the Blood Supreme, sword in his hand, at his opponent. His body turned into a blood shadow, seemingly real, yet also illusory. This guy has such a strange movement technique. Yu Zhen really jumped in fright. This whatever falling plum clear shadow step, not only was the movement technique strange, but the speed was also fast to the extreme. This feeling made Yu Zhen have a kind of terror where his life was threatened. Impossible. He only went missing for 3 to 4 days. Could it be that he could cultivate such a terrifying movement technique? This is also too strange. Although these thoughts were many in reality, it all happened in a blink of an eye. Yu Zhen was also a powerhouse in the end. In a panic, his body forcefully moved to the side, avoiding the fatal blow of the blood shadow kill. However, he did not completely avoid it in the end. One ear was cut off by that bloodlight. Immediately, blood splattered. It hurt until Yu Zhen screamed loudly. "Bastard! Ling Xiao, I'm going to kill you!" Yu Zhen roared furiously, erupting with terrifying sword energy, charging towards Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao did not take it head-on either. He still used the falling plum clear shadow step to dodge. It was as easy as taking a leisurely stroll. The key was that he was not just dodging. Every time he dodged, he would launch another attack. The moves he used were only the most ordinary blood, shadow kill, and phantom kill. However, it gave Yu Zhen a headache. There were already several terrifying wounds on his body. In fact, if Ling Xiao unleashed his full strength, it would not be too difficult to kill Yu Zhen. However, in order to make a breakthrough in his falling plum clear shadow step, he wanted to make a breakthrough in his cultivation. Ling Xiao was willing to tangle with Yu Zhen for a while. Therefore, he did not use the powerful and domineering magic treasure like the firestorm wheels. In his eyes, the poor Yu Zhen was just a training puppet being played with. Gradually, Yu Zhen also noticed this point, because in the battle, he discovered that Ling Xiao's movement technique was becoming more and more strange, and his speed was becoming faster and faster. "Ling Xiao, are you looking down on me? Why don't you use the God Fiend seal?" Yu Zhen roared hysterically. At this point, his confidence had already turned into fear. Instead of being played like this, he might as well fight to the death. God Fiend seal? The current Yu is not worthy at all. Ling Xiao shook his head contemptuously. In order to kill the current Yu Zhen, Ling Xiao did not need to use such a powerful martial technique like the God Fiend seal. This feeling is really not bad. Ling Xiao felt that his falling plum clear shadow step had finally advanced to the large success stage, and the energy in his cultivation C had also increased to 60%. Although it had not broken through, it was already not bad. He suddenly looked at Yu Zhen and said, "Use your most powerful move, or you won't have a chance." Of course, he was not so generous as to give Yu Zhen a chance. It was just that Yu Zhen's current attack could not increase his cultivation C again. Only when the other party burst out with a more powerful attack would it be the best situation for him. "Good. Since you think so, then I'll fulfill your wish. Lightning Sword Body." Lightning Sword Body and Immortal Sword Body were both special battle bodies, but there was a big difference. Although both could greatly increase combat power, but Immortal Sword Body could make people immortal for a period of time. Lightning Sword Body could make people's attack power soar for a period of time. In terms of strength, Immortal Sword Body was of course better. Chapter 3841. Following Yu Zhen's outburst. Terrifying thunder and lightning bloomed from his body. Bolts of lightning pierced through the ground, leaving many gullies on the ground. The surrounding trees were hit so hard that their leaves flew everywhere and their branches were broken. The forest suddenly burned. Thunder God Sword of Annihilation. This was the most powerful move of the lightning sword physique. Yu Zhen suddenly flew to a high place, then locked onto Ling Xiao and swooped down at a terrifying speed. Wrapped in the power of the violent thunder and lightning of heaven and earth, he wanted to kill Ling Xiao on the spot. Before the attack arrived, the terrifying thunder and lightning had already begun to shatter the rocks around Ling Xiao. Fortunately, it was in the 4 major regions. If it was in the West region, everything would have been completely destroyed. Good. Ling Xiao felt a huge pressure. Under this pressure, his potential erupted, and the energy in his cultivation C finally increased to 70%. This was probably the biggest threat that Yu Zhan could bring to him. He didn't plan to continue wasting time. Next, he wanted to end this battle. Amidst the sneer, the firestorm wheels appeared. The tricolored firestorm wheels spat out 3 types of energy: thunder, fire, and wind. An extremely horrifying pressure erupted from his body. Yu Zhen, don't you want to die? Then I'll fulfill your wish. Since you're so obedient as my sparring partner, I'll give you a quick death. Amidst the voices, the 3 types of energy in the firestorm wheels turned into 3 divine dragons: a crimson divine dragon, an azure divine dragon, and a white divine dragon. Boom! The violent energy caused a strange phenomenon between heaven and earth. The destructive power was much stronger than Yu Zhen's Thunder God Sword of Annihilation. The firestorm wheels could absorb the 3 types of elemental energy between heaven and earth: thunder, wind, and fire. It kept getting stronger. Therefore, what Yu Zhan was facing was not only Ling Xiao, but also heaven and earth. This power should be almost equivalent to a beginner's 6th level martial skill of the Emperor level. Ling Xiao felt the terrifying power of the 3 divine dragons. He couldn't help but mutter to himself, "Tremble." At that moment, Yu Zhan suddenly trembled. He trembled for no reason, but it made him even more terrified. Do you want to know where I've been these days? I won't tell you. However, you should have some impression of the firestorm wheels, right? It was a treasure owned by the god of thieves who had wreaked havoc in the Golden Sky region. Although it's not as powerful as it used to be after 1,000 years of wear and tear, it's enough to kill you. Thief God. Hearing this title, Yu Zhan was shocked. 1,000 years ago, many powerful people had appeared, and this thief god was one of them. He was even more famous than the Blood Sword Supreme. The Blood Sword Supreme was being chased by the Dongxing Emperor. However, the thief god could hunt down the Dongxing Emperor. He had only lost to the Golden Emperor. Why would such a terrifying name be associated with Ling Xiao? He was puzzled, but Ling Xiao wouldn't answer him. In the distance, in a peaceful city, people suddenly saw the collision of 2 terrifying energies in the sky. On one side was the terrifying lightning sword. On the other side were 3 domineering divine dragons. Wife, come out and watch the immortals fight. People scrambled to inform him. However, none of them dared to approach. When the immortals fought, the mortals would suffer. Who dared to approach? Wouldn't that be courting death? The 3 divine dragons soared into the sky. The lightning sword whizzed down. The 2 collided in the void. I'll kill you. I'll definitely kill you. Yu Zhan roared. Because of fear, he began to burn his inner core. Burning the inner core was different from exploding the inner core. Exploding the inner core was an instant destruction. Burning the inner core could make one's attack or speed more powerful. He wasn't confident, so he was going all out. He knew that if he didn't go all out, he would definitely die. No, I don't want to die. The lightning sword was torn apart by the 3 divine dragons and then shattered. Yu Zhan knew that his end was here. He couldn't understand. Why did this happen? How did Ling Xiao, who had been suppressed by him earlier, suddenly become so frightening? He didn't even need to use the divine demon seal to make him feel the threat of death. He removed the dragon trapping talisman, turned around, and fled frantically. However, how could his speed compare to the speed of the 3 divine dragons? A terrifying explosion sounded out. The 3 divine dragons tore the terrified Yuzhen into pieces. At the moment before Yuzhen died, his eyes were still filled with shock and regret. He had never expected that he would die in Ling Zhao's hands this time. This was just like a terrifying nightmare. "Come back." Ling Zhao waved his hand. Then the 3 divine dragons merged back into the firestorm wheels. It was as if nothing had happened between the heavens and the earth. Only a storage ring was kept by Ling Zhao. Among all of Yuzhen's belongings, the only thing that interested Ling Zhao was the energy stones. As for the rest, he was going to use them to build his kingdom, killing a peak 5th divine core warrior with a late 4th divine core cultivation base. No one in the 4 domains had ever heard of such a thing. Under normal circumstances, it was possible to kill someone with a higher cultivation base than the same core realm. But this frightening leap of 1 core realm was something that had never been heard of before. Ling Zhao had always been like this. He was always able to bring surprise and disbelief to people. Ling Zhao looked at the direction where Yuzhen died with an indifferent expression. It was as if he had just stepped on an ant. But if this ant was placed in the Purple Palace Royal City, it was nothing. There were a lot of people who were stronger than him, and most of them were Ling Zhao's enemies. They wanted to stop him from saving Zi Qinya, but he would deal with whatever came his way. Would he be afraid? With his previous strength, he still had the courage to go to the Purple Palace Royal City. Now that he had obtained the firestorm wheels and cultivated the falling plum clear shadow steps, he had even more reason to go. I should learn the plum blossom acupuncture technique along the way. Since the plum blossom acupuncture technique is only a 5th grade Emperor Realm Martial skill, it is much easier to cultivate compared to the falling plum clear shadow steps. But it is still useful. With this thought in mind, Ling Zhao continued walking towards the Purple Palace Royal City without any hesitation. From the Heavenly Dragon continent to the Black Tortoise continent, Ling Zhao had started from the lowest level of beggars. That was why he was able to achieve what he had today. If those top warriors knew about his experience, they would definitely be shocked. A man with such a low status could actually have such strength. Those so-called geniuses would all be overshadowed in front of him. But he still had to be careful. The road ahead was much more difficult than he had imagined. The Dongsheng Kingdom was just a subsidiary power of the Golden Heavenly Nation. There were only 4 such kingdoms in the Golden Heavenly region. The so-called Dongsheng Combat Strength List was just a ranking made by those so-called young geniuses. It had nothing to do with the real strong warriors. It would be more appropriate to call it the Dongsheng Potential List. Gu Fenghua and Qing Mashua were ranked in the top 10 of the list. He wondered how terrifying the strongest one was. Would he be at the 8th level of the Divine Core Realm? Would he be at the Heavenly Core Realm? Chapter 3842. Since the Eastern Victory Kingdom was already so powerful, there must be someone who had broken through to the extreme Pill realm. So, how powerful was Huang Jindi? Right now, he couldn't even guess who it was. But perhaps all the young geniuses from the Golden Heavenly Kingdom were at least at the 8th Divine Core Realm. In the past, Ling Zhao would never be able to reach this level. But now he was a late 4th Divine Core Warrior. He wasn't that far away from the 8th Divine Core Realm. Sister, you knew. Finally, I can touch you. Ling Zhao's mind was filled with excitement and anticipation. Even if the Eternal Palace was stronger than the Golden Heavenly Kingdom, it shouldn't be much stronger. That Wang Quan Tianxia, who was engaged to Fenghua, was most likely an extreme Pill Warrior, which meant he was at the 9th Divine Core Realm. As long as Jiang Qin put in a little more effort, he would be able to go to the Eternal Palace and find the woman of his dreams. The path of cultivation might be filled with the unknown and fear for others. But in Ling Zhao's eyes, it wasn't worth mentioning. Because of the martial soul of Tyrant, even the King of Sovereigns couldn't make him feel fear. Fear came from the unknown. He had a trace of the human king's bloodline, so why would he fear the king of sovereigns? Compared to the human king, the king of sovereigns was nothing. But right now, the most important thing is still the matter in the Purple Palace Kingdom. Ling Xiao retracted his chaotic thoughts and increased his speed. Purple Palace Kingdom, royal capital. The royal palace that only the king was allowed to live in had now become Gu Fenghua and Qing Mashue's temporary residence. As for the king of the Purple Palace, he had moved out of the royal capital. No matter how high his status was in the Purple Palace Kingdom, when facing the powerful Gu Fenghua, he had no chance of winning. All he could do was endure. Being the king was a shame, but it was still better than being dead. Within the royal capital, Gu Fenghua was cultivating in his luxurious clothes. His cultivation had reached the early 7th divine core realm, but he was still working so hard. It looked like it wasn't a coincidence that he was able to reach his current cultivation level. Qing Mashue was sitting not far away from him. She was lying on the ground. Her beautiful body was enough to make any man drool. She was flipping through a book, laughing from time to time. Gu Fenghua sighed helplessly and opened her eyes. "Junior sister, I'm cultivating." "Of course I know that senior apprentice brother is cultivating. But don't you find it boring to have such a delicate beauty in front of you? You actually still have the heart to cultivate?" Qing Mashua pouted. It was hard to imagine that such a cruel and merciless woman could actually show such a cute side in front of others. She had the face of a fairy, but the heart of a snake and scorpion. This was probably the kind of person she was talking about. All right, I won't cultivate anymore. What book are you reading? It's so interesting." Gu Fenghua seemed to dote on her junior sister very much and asked gently, "It's nothing much. It's just an encyclopedia compiled by the Dongsheng royal family. It's very interesting. Look here, the strongest beings in the Black Tortoise continent are the 12 beast gods. At the very top was the sun god, the king of all gods. Moreover, it also said that in the Black Tortoise continent there was a kind of beast god martial artist that was above the beast warriors. They have obtained the beast god martial spirit and are extremely powerful." Qing Mashue said excitedly, "I've heard of beast god martial artist. The Eternal Emperor region's Wang Quan's world is a beast god martial artist. Moreover, it said that his beast god divine position isn't low. It's very likely that he's a high-level god divine position, or even stronger." Gu Fenghua frowned and said, "This Wang Quan's world is known as the #1 genius of the 4 major regions. It's not a bluff. I think he's just bluffing. Senior apprentice brother, work harder. You'll definitely surpass him. Besides, not to mention others, isn't the #1 genius of the Eternal Life Palace that Yu Fenghua? Yu Fenghua and Wang Quan's world should be on par." Gu Fenghua continued, "Sigh, but whether it's Yu Fenghua or Wang Quan's world, they're both much stronger than me. If I don't obtain a better cultivation method, I'm afraid I'll never be able to surpass them. It'll be difficult to catch up. Senior apprentice brother, don't worry. This time, I'll definitely help you obtain the primordial martial technique and the Dongsheng Sky Sword." Qing Mashue suddenly became serious. "Thank you, Shui-er." Gu Fenghua smiled. The reason he came to the Purple Mansion Kingdom was to obtain the primordial martial technique and the Dongsheng Sky Sword. These 2 items could not fall into the hands of others. "Young master, may I enter?" A voice suddenly came from outside the door. It was the Purple Mansion King, Chenyu. "Come in," Gu Fenghua said calmly. Chenyu walked in from outside and said to Gu Fenghua, "Young master, there's news about Ling Xiao. He's not dead. 4 days ago, he was injured by Yu Zhen and went missing. He suddenly appeared today and killed Yu Zhen. Yu Zhen even used his most powerful lightning sword of annihilation. However, he was still no match for that kid. There's a rumor that the kid has a pair of firestorm wheels." "Yu Zhen, that trash." Gu Fenghua snorted and said, "However, Ling Xiao has the firestorm wheels. It's no wonder he lost. The firestorm wheels are a treasure left behind by the thief god. I didn't expect Ling Xiao to be able to obtain such a treasure after disappearing for a few days. He really was blessed by luck. Looks like there's one more treasure on my list. Senior brother, are you talking about the firestorm wheels that the thief god used to escape Huang Jindi's pursuit? Qing Moshiwe said in surprise. That's right. It should be that thing. Gu Fenghua said coldly. Good kid. I'm really getting more and more curious about him. Initially, I wanted to kill him directly, but from the looks of it now, this kid is definitely not a bad choice to use for treasure hunting. Qing Moshiwe revealed a smile. Qinyu, where is he? Qing Moshiwe asked anxiously. I'm sorry, young masters. That guy is very cunning. He disappeared after killing Yu Zhen. It's as if he didn't exist. The people we sent to search for him couldn't find any clues. Chen Yu smiled bitterly. Trash! Qing Moshiwe scolded. Shui, don't scold people. That Ling Xiao should be good at a secret technique that conceals him. However, it doesn't matter. I believe he will come to the Purple Mansion royal capital. Zi Qianye is in our hands, so he will definitely come. As long as he enters the Purple Mansion royal capital, he won't be able to escape from us. Gu Fenghua sneered. But senior brother, is he that stupid? He knows we're all in the Purple Mansion royal capital. Why would he still come? Qing Moshiwe was puzzled. You don't understand. This kid is very loyal. Zi Qianye helped him before. They call each other brother and sister. He will definitely come. Actually, what happened in the small purple spirit kingdom is an example. Gu Fenghua said with a smile, if he obediently hands over those things, perhaps I can take him in as a subordinate. After all, with his talent and character, it would be great if he became a subordinate. Is there really such a loyal man in this world? Qing Moshiwe still didn't believe it. Chapter 38:43. Qinyu, you can go back now. Remember, protect Zi Qianye well. Don't let her die. As long as she's alive, she'll be more useful to us. Gu Fenghua said with a smile. Understood. Qinyu turned around and left. Ling Xiao wouldn't let Gu Fenghua discover his existence. He knew a divine core warrior had a powerful divine sense. However, the divine sense wasn't the same as the eyes. In order to detect a cultivator, the cultivator had to release his aura. But Ling Xiao had the ability to completely hide his aura. He didn't want to expose himself. As long as he didn't attack, it would be impossible for anyone to find him with their divine sense. It took him 6 days to travel from the Peach Blossom Bay to the capital city, because he had been using the Falling Plum Clear Shadow Steps for a long time. He had reached the Great Perfection stage. As for the Plum Blossom Acupuncture Hand, Ling Xiao had practiced it on demon beasts, and it had reached the Great Perfection stage. For safety's sake, Ling Xiao had been fed high-ranked energy stones by the Blood Thunder God along the way. He had also fed the Blood Thunder God all the lightning element demon cores he got from the ancient Dongxing Emperor and the Peach Blossom's treasure vault. He had spent a total of 10 million high-ranked energy stones, hundreds of thousands of demon beast cores. The Blood Thunder God had filled up 10% of his cells. Not only had his body become stronger, his ordinary attacks had also skyrocketed. The current strength of his physical body was equivalent to a 6th Order Emperor Realm defensive martial skill. That also meant most of the damage an early 6th Order Divine Core Warrior could inflict on him would be negated. Although he was still no match for the 3 great generals, at least he wouldn't be easily defeated by them. Also, he wouldn't be easily killed. Cultivating while traveling, Ling Xiao had finally arrived at the outskirts of the Purple Palace's capital city. At the same time, Haim Miankeo, who was far away in the western region, had encountered a strange situation. Although Haim Miankeo wasn't a very strong cultivator, she was the representative of the Purple Palace. However, because she directly represented Ling Xiao in the Heavenly Dynasty Empire, her position were extremely special. Besides, she was once the holy son of the sacred dynasty. Many people respected her very much. On this day, Haim Myungkeo finished her cultivation and walked to the balcony of the pavilion, looking at the constantly changing scenery of the Celestial Empire. Ever since the Celestial Empire unified the Western region and the Archean Divine Tomb, everything was on the right track. Construction was in full swing. The scene of the entire nation practicing martial arts was even more popular than before. In the Celestial Empire, sex have nothing to do with it. The Empire would set up local academies and the Imperial Capital Academy. Everyone, regardless of whether they were men or women, could take the test. Regardless of your aptitude, as long as you can pass the assessment, you can enter these academies to cultivate. Moreover, the Celestial Empire implemented compulsory education. Other than the higher education institutions, the rest could be studied for free. You only need to pay for your living expenses and books. Those books were compiled by countless martial arts instructors. They were easier to learn and understand than ordinary martial arts manuals. Such a situation had long been implemented in the Heavenly Dragon Continent, Divine Phoenix Continent, and White Tiger Continent. In the western region of the Black Tortoise Continent, this was just the beginning, but the people were very welcoming. It was just that Haim Myungkeo, who was in charge of this matter, was really a little tired. Haim Myungkeo smiled slightly. That guy left this mess for me and actually ran off to make his own way. Ling Xiao's figure appeared in her mind. She and Ling Xiao could be said to have become friends after a fight. They were once enemies, but later became friends. Now they were best friends. Although she was blaming him, she revealed a hint of a smile. Ling Xiao occupied a very special place in her heart. The only thing she was not very satisfied with now was her own strength. She was too weak, so she could only stay behind to help Ling Xiao take care of the Empire's affairs. It would be great if he was stronger. He might be able to help that guy even more. No, I'm too tired. I'd better go to sleep for a while. She yawned. She was dealing with political affairs and cultivating. She really had her hands full. Now, she really felt a little tired. When she returned to bed, she fell asleep as soon as her head hit the pillow. Suddenly, she saw a person standing in front of her bed. A woman who was so beautiful that she was jealous. She knew this woman, and she had been beaten up before. She knew that this was the woman Ling Xiao loved the most, the Moon Maiden. However, the current Moon Maiden was clearly younger than before. Senior Moon Maiden, why are you here? Haim Myungkeo looked at the woman in front of her in surprise and asked, My name is Yu Fanghua. The woman smiled and said, That guy used to call me Moon Maiden. I really don't understand why, but it doesn't matter. I know that you're his friend, and you're also a very trusted friend. Him? Are you talking about His Majesty, the Celestial Emperor? Haim Myungkeo asked. So he's your Celestial Emperor. His background is not small. Yes, I'm talking about him. Is he not here? I've almost searched the entire Western region and the immemorial Divine Tomb, but I can't find his aura. Or is he dead? When Yu Fanghua said this, her expression suddenly became very ugly. There was a strong sense of sadness. No, he's not dead. Haim Myungkeo shook her head and said he went to look for you. He went to the 4 regions to look for you. The 4 regions. How can he survive in the 4 regions with his strength? Yu Fanghua was anxious. Senior Moon Maiden, you don't have to worry. His Majesty the Celestial Emperor is a person who is good at creating miracles. When he left the Western region, he was already very powerful. I believe that his current strength is something you can't even imagine. Haim Myungkeo and Ling Xiao had known each other for a long time. The 2 of them had known each other since the Heavenly Dragon Continent. Therefore, she knew Ling Xiao's abilities very well. That's impossible. It's only been a short time, and he can already set foot in the 4 regions. Yu Fanghua was a little surprised. If she had recovered her memories of the past, she probably wouldn't be so surprised. The Moon Maiden who had died for Ling Xiao knew more about Ling Xiao's strength than Haim Miankeo. He must have gone. But what's your current state? Why are you here? Haim Miankeo was still a little confused. She was clearly sleeping. You're in a dream right now. I'm talking to you through the dream reflection mirror. I really didn't expect that he would really go to the 4 regions to look for me. That Wang Quanzhen guy actually told me that he's dead. That old thing really was lying to me. Yu Fanghua frowned and said, "Thank you for telling me this. Otherwise, I would still be aimlessly searching for him in the Western region. Although the dream reflection mirror is useful, it consumes too much energy. To thank you, I'll give you a gift." She suddenly pointed her finger, and a ray of light shot into Haim Miankeo's body. Haim Miankeo suddenly woke up. She realized that the room was empty. Chapter 3844. When she woke up from her dream, Haim Miankeo was shocked to find out that her cultivation had reached an unimaginable level. She had reached the 1st level of the divine vein realm. Although her cultivation base wasn't the strongest in the Western region, it was still very strong. Compared to her previous cultivation base, it was at least 1,000 times stronger. It had saved her a few decades of hard work. This senior you knew is really frightening, but I think she must have consumed a lot of energy to help me increase my cultivation base. Haim Miankeo thought to herself. Ling Xiao had set his sights on the Moon Lady, and it seemed like it made sense. I wish you all the best. We'll meet again soon. Haim Miankeo stood up and once again immersed herself in her work and cultivation. The 1st level of the divine vein realm was considered a top warrior in the Western region. But when she went to the other 4 regions, she was nothing. Therefore, she couldn't stop. But with her current cultivation base, she could go to the other 4 regions and cultivate. That way, her cultivation speed would be faster. Everything in the Western region had stabilized. She didn't need to stay here anymore. Standing outside of the Purple Palace Kingdom, Ling Xiao had no idea what was happening in the Western region. But he firmly believed in one thing. He was trying his best to get close to the Moon Lady, and the Moon Lady was trying her best to find him. He had his own beliefs. So did the Moon Lady. Both of them were willing to risk their lives for each other, or else they wouldn't be working together. Of course, Ling Xiao had to put the Moon Lady aside for now. The most important thing right now was to save Zi Qinya. Although Zi Qinya wasn't his true love, he did have a one-night stand with her. Besides, Zi Qinya had treated him well. He wasn't an ungrateful person. If you were willing to risk your life for your friend would do everything for you. Throughout his journey, there were many people who were loyal to him. It was because of his personality, his way of doing things. Those people knew that if they were loyal to him, they wouldn't be abandoned by him. They wouldn't be disappointed. Kid, don't blame your master. Long, you still have a chance to change your mind. There are 3 early 6th divine core Purple Palace generals waiting for you in the Purple Palace Kingdom. A late 6th divine core marshal. There was also a peak 6th divine core king of the Purple Palace. Of course, the most frightening ones were Qing Mashiwa, who was at the perfect 6th divine core realm, and Gu Fenghua, who was at the early 7th divine core realm. Once you enter that place, you will most likely die. Yuan venerates, knew Ling Xiao very well, but as a master, he was unwilling to see his disciple court death. Although Ling Xiao now had the strength to kill Yu Zhen and Zilon, he still had the strength to do so. However, those 2 people were nothing in front of the current enemy. A Yuan venerate could see his disciple's improvement. If he had more time, he might not even be afraid of the enemies in front of him. Master, I know you care about me, but Ziqinya is suffering. If I'm late, she'll have to suffer for another day. And have you forgotten? My strength has never been obtained by cultivating in seclusion. Instead, it was a head-on confrontation. Even if I'm not their match, I definitely won't die. Don't forget that your disciple's greatest strength isn't his combat prowess, but his ability to escape. If I don't want to die, none of them will be able to kill me. Ever since Ling Xiao started cultivating, he understood one thing: survive. That was the most important thing. Therefore, no matter what he cultivated, his number one priority would always be to increase his survival ability. That was why he had become a monster that no one could kill even if they wanted to. Even a cockroach couldn't compare to him. Ling Xiao had been doing this for a long time, and he was already familiar with it. He knew when to fight and when to run. He knew this very well. Furthermore, his main goal was to save Ziqinya, not to compete with Gu Fenghua and Qing Mashue. He didn't necessarily need to fight. Gu Fenghua's divine sense is extremely powerful, and I don't know what kind of magical treasure she has. You better be prepared. Even if you can hide all your aura, you might not be able to escape from her eyes. Yuan Venerate gave up. He knew that he couldn't persuade Ling Xiao to give up. However, the more Ling Xiao acted like this, the more gratified he felt. If it wasn't because of Ling Xiao's personality, he wouldn't have chosen Ling Xiao to be his disciple. I understand, Master. Don't worry, I'll be careful. But don't underestimate your own strength. Although Gu Fenghua is strong, he is still only an early 7th divine core warrior. The gap between us is like heaven and earth. Escaping shouldn't be a problem. Ling Xiao smiled. Then he turned into a shadow warrior and stepped into the Purple Palace King's capital. The Purple Palace King's capital was comparable to 10 Purple Spirit cities. It was huge. At least, Ling Xiao had never seen such a huge city before. But this was probably the limit. A city that could accommodate 1 billion people. Perhaps, in the future, there wouldn't be a city that was bigger than this. There was always a limit to everything. But then again, the Purple Palace King's capital also had a small world like the Peach Blossom Bay. According to Ziqinya, there were a total of 12 small worlds in the Purple Palace King's capital. The size of each small world was no smaller than a Purple Spirit capital. Therefore, the Purple Palace King's capital was as big as 20 Purple Spirit cities. But no one could see these small worlds on the surface. They could only be accessed through those portals. I don't think I've been discovered. Right after he stepped into the Purple Palace King's capital, it was as if Ling Xiao had suddenly disappeared from the world. He had completely hidden himself in the void. This ability of his was even scarier than the Shadow Warrior. He had learned it from the Thief God's Falling Plum, Clear Shadow Steps. To be more precise, Ling Xiao could temporarily enter a different realm. No one could see him or sense him, but he could see everything in the outside world. He just couldn't interfere with it. It was rather troublesome to open this realm, and it would take at least half an hour of preparation to succeed. Also, he had to put all of his attention into it. Therefore, when he was being chased, it was very difficult for him to enter. It was even more impossible when he was fighting. But luckily, all he needed to do was consume energy stones. Although the consumption of energy stones per minute reached hundreds. But for the rich Ling Xiao, it was nothing. The number of upper-grade spirit stones in his possession had already reached 800 million. He was not afraid of consumption. While hiding in the void plane, he could see, hear, and smell everything that was happening in the outside world. But he couldn't interfere because, once he did, the void realm would collapse. He would be exposed. Of course, the people outside couldn't interfere with him. Let's go to the palace first. Ling Xiao didn't know where Ziqinya was imprisoned, so he could only look around. The palace was a relatively conspicuous place, so he naturally had to make a trip there. He walked into the palace just like that. But no one discovered his existence. This was because he and everyone else were existences in 2 different worlds. Chapter 38. 45. Unless someone was strong enough to destroy a plane, they wouldn't be able to find Ling Xiao. Sigh. Our king has been living a miserable life recently. He's the king of the Zifu kingdom, but he can't even breathe because of 2 brats. Shut up. Do you want to die? Gu Fenghua's divine sense covers the entire Zifu kingdom. What's there to be afraid of? Her divine sense can only detect a warrior's aura. She can't even hear what I'm saying. Plus, I'm telling the truth. Who does she think she is? She comes to the Zifu kingdom and randomly kills people. I heard that woman called Qing Mashue destroyed the 10 cities of the Ziling kingdom, including the capital. They've become dead cities. That's true. I heard that they even locked the king of the Ziling kingdom, Ziqinya, in the Zifu nether realm. Compared to the Ziling nether realm, the killing intent in the Zifu nether realm is 100 times stronger. Ordinary people wouldn't even be able to survive. Only the king of the Ziqinya kingdom was strong enough to survive. But at this rate, it'll be very difficult for her to resist the killing intent. She won't be able to improve her cultivation at all. She might even get injured and go crazy. Yeah, every day she's locked up, she gets weaker and weaker. It's too tragic. Yeah, poor woman. No one came to save her. I heard the king say that Ling Xiao might come. He received the legacy of the Blood Sword Lord. His power has probably increased greatly. I heard that he even killed Yu Zhen a few days ago. Don't count on it. Yu Zhen is nothing in front of a general, not to mention Gu Fenghua and Qing Mashue. If Ling Xiao really comes, he'll die. Yeah, the entire Zifu kingdom is looking for him. But what about him? He's not even worth mentioning in front of a general, not to mention that terrifying demon Gu Fenghua. As long as he has a brain, he won't come. Ziqinya won't let him come either. At this point, everyone sighed. They felt sympathy for Ziqinya, anger for Gu Fenghua and Qing Mashue, and indignation for the king of the Zifu kingdom. I believe he'll come back. The first person to speak said, although I've only seen that kid once. Back then, when he returned to his hometown to visit his relatives, he saw him duel with Nieshuang. That kid can always create miracles for sure. You're thinking too much. What kind of existence is the Dongsheng Strong Country? It's not like you don't know. Even our king was directly appointed by the Dongsheng Strong Country. Otherwise, he wouldn't be so humble in front of those 2 grandsons. At this point, Ling Xiao's thoughts had already flown to the Purple Mansion underworld. It was 100 times more terrifying than the Purple Spirit Nether Realm. This also meant that the weakest demon beast in the Purple Mansion Nether Realm was at least at the 2nd Divine Core Realm. Perhaps the strongest of them could reach the 6th Divine Core Realm. No matter how strong Ziqinya was, he was still unable to withstand the terrifying killing intent. If you want to enter the bloodthirsty battlefield, you have to go through the teleportation portal in the Zifu army's camp. However, once they passed through that area, they would definitely release their aura and be discovered by others. This is really troublesome. Ling Xiao's brows furrowed tightly. It wasn't that he didn't want to fight, but the problem was that if he encountered Gu Fenghua or Qing Mashue directly, he wouldn't even be able to fight. He could only run. Could it be that I have no choice but to admit defeat? Ling Xiao thought of a way. He had to hand over the Eastern Victory Sky Sword and the immemorial martial skill. The Eastern Victory Sky Sword didn't have a sword soul, and even if Gu Fenghua had it, she wouldn't be able to control it. The immemorial martial skill was profound, and even the Blood Sword Reverend, who was an 8th Divine Core Warrior, couldn't comprehend it. Gu Fenghua couldn't either. It was fine if he handed it over. What he was worried about was that even if he handed it over, Gu Fenghua would still want to kill him. This was the real problem. While Jiang Chen was thinking about this, suddenly, a towering aura exploded from outside the palace. Ling Xiao couldn't help but furrow his brows. This aura clearly came from someone who had reached the peak 5th Divine Core Realm. Although he had killed 2 opponents like this before, But this person seemed a little different. The aura was even more terrifying than Yu Zhen and Zilong combined. Could it be that Yu Qilong has broken through? Ling Xiao thought for a while, and this was the only possibility. Yu Qilong had brought back such important information. Of course, Gu Fenghua would give him some benefits. After all, Yu Qilong was an obedient dog. If Gu Fenghua didn't want to do it herself, she could just let this dog bite someone. Only Gu Fenghua was able to help Yu Qilong break through from the early 5th Divine Core Realm to the peak 5th Divine Core Realm in such a short period of time. Let's go there and have a look. Ling Xiao dashed out of the palace and headed towards the building. He noticed that when he left the palace, a few figures flew out from the palace at the same time. These figures were unfamiliar to Jiang Qin, but the Purple Palace King, the Purple Palace Marshal, and the 3 great generals were easy to recognize. They were all wearing the purple spirit armor. Those 2 unfamiliar faces must be Heaven's slaying blade, Devil Gu Fenghua, and Death, which Qing Ma Xue. This was the first time Ling Xiao had seen these 2 people's faces. They had just passed by each other. They were just from different planes. I'll remember your faces. One day, I'll crush you into pieces. Ling Xiao really wanted to know what these people were planning. Therefore, he followed them. Senior disciple, I really don't understand. You wasted so much energy on a piece of trash like him, and he broke through to the peak 5th Divine Core Realm. He's not even at the 6th Divine Core Realm. Why did you waste so much energy? They arrived at the mansion. Yu Qilong was walking outside. Qing Ma Xue said with disdain. This woman was as arrogant as Gu Fenghua, and she looked down on everyone. However, she couldn't hide her thoughts, and she would say whatever was on her mind. Unlike Gu Fenghua, who thought one thing in her mind, but said something else with her mouth. Junior disciple sister, he's not bad. After all, his talent is just SOSO. He is indeed a genius in the Purple Palace Kingdom, but in the Eastern Victory Kingdom, he's not good enough. Don't be too harsh on him, Gu Fenghua said with a smile. Hearing what she said, Yu Qilong's face twitched, but he didn't dare complain. Even if a dog was beaten, it would still recognize its master. Welcome to the 2 young lords, the king, the marshal, and the 3 great generals. Yu Qilong was the one with the lowest status and strength among these people. Therefore, no matter who he met, he had to kneel down and greet them. And stand up. Not bad, not bad. Not only have you broken through to the perfect Divine Core Realm, you've also broken through to the Divine Core Realm. Not only that, you've also cultivated a 5th Order Emperor Realm Martial skill. Now, you should have the confidence to defeat that Ling Xiao, right? Gu Fenghua asked with a smile. Of course, Yu Qilong said confidently. A few days ago, when you were cultivating, Ling Xiao killed Yu Zhen and Zilong. Are you still confident? Qing Ma Xue said with disdain. What? Hearing what Qing Ma Xue said, Yu Qilong was shocked. He had betrayed his dignity and soul in exchange for his sudden increase in strength. But what did Ling Xiao have to kill Yu Zhen? You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.